Chapter 963. The association had enough funds now. If they didn't use it, it would just rust in the bank. Last year, they still had $2 million left. Even when they sent all of them to Cape Town for 20 days, they only spent $300,000. Funds were meant to be squandered. This was Chen Zhao's philosophy. The association members also had their first meeting in the new headquarters. Of course, the content of the meeting was to tell everyone to work hard in the new year. They had to carry out every mission seriously and increase their strength at the same time. The new headquarters also had its first guests. They weren't members of the association, but prisoners sent to the dungeon by Klaus and the others. They were the people who released the crocodiles in the river outside Mirror Lake. The puppeteer Chainin was also one of the guests. Chen Zhao and the association members visited the dungeon. The environment here was great. At least it wasn't creepy like before. Of course, the torture tools were much better than before. Chin, our new movie is starting to cast. Do you want to come and watch? Stephen called Chen Zhao. I don't know anything. What's there to watch? You're one of the people involved anyway. You have the right to speak. Just come and watch. Okay. Chen Zhao indeed didn't have much to do after the new year. He didn't have any clients either. Other than at home, he only walked around the headquarters. When Chen Zhao arrived at the audition site, there was a sea of people outside. It was a terrifying scene. Chen Zhao estimated that there were at least 300 actors. Stephen, I'm at the door, Chen Zhao said. Call someone to pick me up. You're here? Stephen said. Don't come in first. Just blend into the crowd and see if there are suitable candidates or actors that need to be eliminated. Chen Zhao rolled his eyes. Stephen was treating him like a laborer. Hey, brother, are you here for the audition too? A curly-haired young man patted Chen Zhao's shoulder. Which company are you from? Air. I don't have a company. No company? Then you don't have a good chance. The curly-haired young man said, I heard that many famous actors from Asia are here for the audition. I heard that Mr. Stephen's new movie has a very important role that will be played by an Asian. Mr. Stephen also wants to invite actors who are already famous in Asia. Chen Zhao wasn't too surprised. After all, Stephen had already told Chen Zhao about this. Stephen was also interested in choosing actors from China. What about you? What role are you auditioning for? A villain, a role with a few minutes of screen time, the curly-haired young man said. I'm a student at the Southern California Film School. What about you, Bank? How should I address you? Chen Zhao answered. I'm unorthodox. You're like most of the people here. Ban Ke said. Everyone is trying their luck. After all, as long as they act in Mr. Stephen's movie, it means that they will become famous, including me. Right now, in Hollywood, Stephen was a golden signboard. Not only were his movies popular, but even if he only had the title of an editor, it still had a huge market appeal. Although James had gotten rid of the title of the new director, he knew very well that his ability was far from his current level. Although Animal Mart was an unprecedented success, James knew that if Stephen hadn't reached out to help him, he would probably be one of the directors who were down and out. Therefore, he had always claimed that Stephen's editing was the biggest contributor to the movie's success. This also caused Stephen's reputation to rise to another level. With just one edit, Animal Mart, which had a small budget, became a godly movie. Therefore, people didn't doubt Stephen's ability at all. Therefore, his new movie also received a lot of attention. In the past 2 days, Stephen and Rasfa jointly released the news of a new movie. All the headlines of the entertainment media in America were about Stephen's new movie. Some people even dug out the content of the new movie. All of Hollywood was in an uproar. Even the international entertainment industry was in an uproar. The Asian entertainment industry was the most excited. After all, Stephen was going to choose an actor from Asia to play a very important role. Of the 3 main roles, 2 were old Caucasians. But there was a male bodyguard, the third one who was an Asian male. The whole movie was about the Iron Triangle, so the Asian male character became very interesting. This also caused all the Asian entertainment companies to send a list of suitable male actors to Steven's desk for him to choose from. Among them, the reaction from the entertainment companies in China, Japan, and South Korea was the most intense. After all, these three were the biggest movie markets in Asia. Among them, the Chinese and Japanese stars should be the most competitive. This was because China was the second biggest movie market in the world, while Japan was the third. In terms of character setting, it was a Chinese. Now, everyone was using their own strengths, trying to help their artists succeed. Chun Zhao walked a few rounds outside and was picked up by Famutus. He also put up the name of Bonko, whom he had met outside, so that he could at least pass the first round of auditions. As for whether Bonko could be chosen later on, Chun Zhao tried not to interfere. After all, as an outsider, if he criticized the movie too much, it might cause the movie to fail. Even though Steven absolutely respected his right to choose, Chun Zhao didn't think he had to use his power. Although Chun Zhao had a China complex, he still let Steven take the lead when it came to choosing actors. If he let a domestic fresh meat play his role, Chun Zhao felt that the movie would be half ruined. So, Chun Zhao would rather let a foreign actor play his role. Chen Ku had been in China for the past few days because the movie Animal Supermarket that she had acted in was being screened in China. As the second female lead, she had almost the same amount of scenes as the first female lead. This caused Chen Ku's fame to skyrocket in the domestic entertainment industry. China was also her home ground, so the entire publicity team was led by Chen Ku. Even James had to be polite to Chen Ku. Of course, a large part of it was because of Chun Zhao. Steven's editing was definitely indispensable for his movie's success this time. Steven was willing to edit for him completely because of Chun Zhao. So, as Chun Zhao's cousin, Chen Ku's treatment in the crew was no less than the female lead. Even if the heroine complained about it again and again, no one would care about her complaints. Chapter 964. She was hailed as an international superstar after acting in one movie. It was the same in every country's entertainment industry. Actually, this was also a God-making movement, especially in countries like China, which was a second world country. Chen Ku had now become a star pursued by the whole nation. Originally, Chen Ku was just a rising star in the country, but now she had become an international superstar. This sudden change in status made Chen Ku feel a little at a loss. A call came in and Chen Ku picked up. Other than Chen Ku's relatives, the only person who could call Chen Ku directly was her boss, Zhou Xiaonan. Zhou Xiaonan was the boss of Guangyu culture, and she was the one who discovered Chen Ku. From the moment she acted in her first movie, she was recognized by the public. Then, through her connections in Hollywood, she was recommended to James. After acting as the second female lead in James' movie, it was like she was riding a rocket. Her status skyrocketed, and she was even given the title of an international superstar. Even Zhou Xiaonan didn't expect Chen Ku's road to fame to be so fast and smooth. Ah, Ku. Zhou Xiaonan's tone was unprecedentedly gentle. It couldn't be helped. Although Chen Ku had only debuted for a short time, her achievements far surpassed the other artists in the company. Now, all the other artists in the company had to call Chen Ku's sister. She might not be the top actress in the entertainment industry, but in Guangyu culture, she was the well-deserved top actress. What was a top actress? It wasn't just about making money for the company. Some young stars would only be popular for 1 or 2 years. In 1 or 2 years, they might be able to earn 1 or 200 million yuan for the company. But after 1 or 2 years, they would disappear from the world. To be able to bear the title of top actress, first of all, she had to have popularity and influence. Secondly, it was style. To put it bluntly, it was pretentious. Either she didn't endorse, or she endorsed an international brand. The role she took was definitely the number 1 role or main role in Hollywood. Chun Ku now had the capital to do so. She could even get the female lead in Hollywood now. So, Chen Ku deserved the title of top actress. Sister Zhou, what's the matter? Chen Ku asked. Can you give me a chance? I want to meet Mr. James. Chun-Ku smiled bitterly. It was this kind of request again. During this period of time, she had received all kinds of calls. There was only one subject, and that was to see Mr. James. Besides wanting to get closer to James, he also wanted to ask James about Mr. Stevens' new movie. Chun-Ku also heard about Mr. Stevens' new movie. She had been considering whether she should fight for a role. That was Mr. Steven they were talking about. If she fought for it, she would have a great chance. Not to mention her qualifications and acting skills. Her relationship with Hu Jinyao had brought her great benefits. For example, his cousin, although their relationship was not very close, at least they were relatives. James had also said that if she fought for a role, Stephen might arrange one for her because of Qin Zhao. However, Chun-Ku couldn't get over herself. She had never thought that she had relied on connections to fight her way into the entertainment industry. But now, she had to use a relative who wasn't even on good terms with her, to get a role. This made her feel very uncomfortable. "Sister, it's not that I don't want to arrange it for you," Chun-Ku said with a bitter smile. "Mr. James' schedule is too tight. James would only stay in China for 3 days at most. He would go to the capital, Shanghai, and then Guangzhou. 3 days of promotion in 3 cities. He wouldn't stop for a single moment. Can you help me ask about the casting of Mr. Stevens' new movie?" "Sure, I'll help you. Oh, help me pass this message. If Mr. James can help our artist get that role, our company is willing to pay any price, even if it's pay or nothing. Not to mention 0 pay, they could even pay for it. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity." "Sure, I'll help you," Chun-Ku said. "But sister, it's useless if it's just me. You have to bring someone to America for an interview too. Mr. Stevens' requirements are very strict. If the person isn't there, he won't choose him no matter how powerful his background is." "Okay, who do you think is suitable in our company?" The character is set to be 28 years old, so there are only 3 people under the age of 3. "Sis, I don't need to tell you. I think you know what to do. You can try out all 3 of them and see who can enter the second round of auditions. Then you can try to send them in. Okay, I'll arrange for them to go to America. But cool, if you want to attend Mr. Stevens' audition, we won't be able to do it." If they focused all their resources on the 3 actors, they would definitely neglect Chun-Ku. "Sister, I have my own path. Don't worry about me," Chun-Ku said. "Oh, you have your own path?" Zhou Xiaonan was a little surprised. She knew Chun-Ku. She had entered the entertainment industry alone. Her parents were university professors, and she had never heard that she had any connections. "I might not have any connections in China, but I can still help Mr. Steven." Zhou Xiaonan was shocked. She didn't expect Chun-Ku to be so confident. She didn't have connections in China, but she had connections with Steven? Cool. Can you help our company's male actor?" "Sister, I can't help you with this. After all, I have to fight for a role too," Chun-Ku said. "Besides, I need a favor. It'll be used up after one time." "Then, okay," Zhou Xiaonan said helplessly. But Chun-Ku's words made Zhou Xiaonan look at her in a different light. She didn't expect Chun-Ku to use a favor to help Steven. Now that Chun-Ku was already very popular, if she acted in Steven's movie, her popularity would soar. By then, she would definitely become the most popular female star in China. Of course, Chun-Ku had her own ambitions. After all, who didn't want to be a big star in the entertainment industry? Chun-Ku thought for a while and called James. "Mr. James, I want to ask you, is there a suitable role for me in Mr. Stevens' new movie?" "Yes, the wife of the Asian male character is set to be the wife of a Chinese man," James said. "Why? Do you want to compete for this role? If you do, then you have a good chance. As long as your cousin is willing to help you, Mr. Steven will definitely give you this role. This is equivalent to the female lead, right? Will Mr. Steven give me this chance?" Chapter 965. Chun-Ku didn't think that her cousin could influence Steven to this extent. After thinking for a long time, Chun-Ku decided to go to America. "Wang Lu, after the promotion in China, will go to America. Help me book a ticket to Los Angeles. Chen Zhao was quite relaxed these few days. There was basically nothing for him to worry about. As for Stephen asking him to pick actors, he just went to take a look. Those who were pleasing to the eye would help him mention it. Those who were not pleasing to the eye would also help him mention it. When he got home, Cheryl and Yura were still at his house. The theme of the two of them is always noisy. They also became Jerlin's role models. Every day, Jerlin would go crazy with them. Recently, Jerlin could already run, although she would occasionally fall. Just then, a car stopped in front of Chen Zhao's house. When Chen Zhao walked out, he realized that it was Chen Ku and Wang Lu. But Wang Lu didn't get out. Chen Ku walked up to Chen Zhao. "Cousin, why are you here?" Chen Zhao was surprised. "Auntie told me that your girlfriend is pregnant," Chen Ku said. "She asked me to bring some Changbai ginseng from China for you." Chen Zhao's eyes brightened. Cotinopsis had great nourishing stomach and spleen effects. This was especially true for pregnant women because they weren't suitable for chemical medicines. Chen Zhao would avoid even some nutrient supplies. However, Cotinopsis was the best tonic for pregnant women. Because of pregnancy reactions, pregnant women would also have malnutrition and digestive problems. Cotinopsis could correct these symptoms. As long as they didn't overdose, pregnant women would be healthier. The effect of Changbai ginseng was even better. After slicing Changbai ginseng, 2 slices of Changbai ginseng could be steamed with bone broth for an hour, which would be very nourishing for pregnant women. Of course, it wasn't good to add too many slices. No matter how good something was, eating too much wouldn't be good. "Thank you," Chen Zhao said sincerely. Changbai ginseng was hard to get even in China, let alone abroad. There were also Changbai ginseng plantations in China, but the effects of the 1- and 2-year-old ginseng were much worse than the wild ones. The Changbai ginseng that Chen Ku brought to him had big heads and long whiskers and different sizes. This was because of the difference in the soil, so the growth of the rhizome was also different. When he put it in front of his nose and sniffed, he could smell the fragrance of ginseng. These were all collected from the mountains by the ginseng gatherers. Each of them was a precious, wild ginseng. Chen Zhao had done some research on Chinese medicine, so he knew about ginseng. "Come in and sit," Chen Zhao said. "Okay." Chen Ku didn't refuse. Chen Zhao glanced at Wang Lu. "She's not coming in." "Forget it," Chen Ku said indifferently. Wang Lu had clashed with Chen Zhao before, so she didn't want to face him. Chen Ku didn't like her either, so she didn't want them to have another conflict. "Hello, Miss Fei Lai," Chen Ku greeted when she saw Fei Lai coming down. "Hello, Miss Chen." Chen Ku took out another box. "Miss Fei Lai, I brought this from China. It's for you." Fei Lai looked at Chen Zhao, who nodded. No matter what the gift was, he would accept it first. "Thank you." Fei Lai returned the favor. She also took out a bottle of nameless wine. "Miss Chen, this is for you. Please don't reject it." After exchanging some pleasantries, Chen Ku left. Right after Chen Ku left, Rupert came. Chen Zhao was very surprised by Rupert's arrival. Chen Zhao and Rupert hadn't been close. At least, compared to Sienna, Chen Zhao only knew Rupert. Rupert looked like a little girl, but she was actually already in her 20s. For the past 20 years, she had been sealed by her mother, who was also her teacher. "Chen, can I stay here for a few days?" Rupert asked. Chen Zhao thought for a moment. "Give me a reason first. Where's your teacher? Why isn't she by your side?" Chen Zhao realized that Camilla, who'd always been with Rupert, wasn't by her side. "She's crazy. She wants to work with Sienna and seal me again." Chen Zhao picked up his phone, about to call Sienna. No, I'll give you money. I'll only stay for 1 night." Rupert quickly stopped Chen Zhao. "Why do they want to seal you? Did you take on another mission to kill people and rob them?" "No, definitely not," Rupert quickly said. "I don't know why either. Why do you think I'll help you? After all, I'm not familiar with you. I'm more familiar with Sienna. I can give Fei Lai and your child a blessing Rupert said. It's a very special blessing spell. What kind of blessing? Life commendation, Rupert said. Those who receive life commendation will be free from illness forever. They won't get sick for the rest of their lives. There's such a blessing spell? Chen Zhao asked, surprised. Of course, Rupert said proudly. I'm a genius. Chen Zhao had heard from Sienna that Rupert was a second night awakener, so her talent in magic was very high. This spell can't be cast so easily, right? Chen Zhao said, squinting. That's none of your business. Just accept it or not. Rupert's words weren't clear, so Chen Zhao didn't dare to agree. If Sienna had suggested this, Chen Zhao would have gladly accepted it. But Rupert had never been reliable, and her personality was also rather extreme. Before Chen Zhao could confirm the safety of this blessing spell, he wouldn't accept it. I promise you that there won't be any danger or side effects. I still refuse, Chen Zhao said. If you can't explain yourself, I'll tell Sienna directly. You asterisk Shoal, I shouldn't have trusted you. Just then, Chen Zhao's phone rang. Rupert saw Sienna's call on his screen. Rupert turned to run, but Chen Zhao's hand was already on her shoulder. Hey, Sienna, what's up? Chin, is Rupert at your place? Yes, Chen Zhao said. Did she say something to you? Not much yet, but I'm curious what you guys want to do. Since she went to find you, you should protect her well. Can you tell me what happened? Chen Zhao asked. It's okay. Sienna hung up, frowning. Chen Zhao looked at Rupert. Tell me what's going on. Chapter 966. Rupert, why are you here? When Cheryl saw Rupert, she was a little surprised. You can come, but I can't. That's not what I mean. That's what you mean. Rupert stared at Cheryl aggressively. That's what I mean. What do you want? Cheryl wasn't someone anyone could bully, especially because of Sienna. She and Rupert weren't on the same path. Do you want to die? Rupert was about to use magic to scare Cheryl when she felt a murderous aura from afar. Chen Zhao, who was sitting in the front yard, shot her a murderous look. Rupert immediately restrained herself. Little wolf girl, be careful next time. At noon, the family sat at the table for lunch. Rupert and Cheryl stared at each other with hostility. If Chen Zhao wasn't here, the two might start fighting each other. I hope that in my home, in my territory, the two of you will behave yourself. I don't want Amon to take you out to sea for a spin. As long as she doesn't mess with me, I won't do anything to her, Rupert said. I'm not afraid of you. Cheryl was stubborn too. Rupert immediately slammed the table and stood up. Do you want to fight? Sure. Why would I be afraid of you? Come on, let's fight. Feilai didn't mind at all. She liked liveliness and kids fighting. To her, it was normal for kids to fight. Usually it was just her, Chen Zhao, and a bunch of animals at home. Now that there were a few kids, the house became lively. Clatter, clatter, clatter. Jerlin was the most excited one. She kept calling out as if she was going to fight. Chen Zhao knocked on the table. Have you already forgotten what I said a moment ago? Cheryl and Rupert parted on bad terms during lunch. However, they still fought openly and secretly in places Chen Zhao couldn't see. As long as they didn't fight, Chen Zhao didn't care. Mr. Stephen, I want to audition for the role of the Asian man's wife. Chen entered the audition set and approached Stephen. Although they were all auditions for roles, famous actors were different from ordinary actors and actresses. Famous actors could meet Stephen directly, and Stephen would personally interview them and make a decision. Most actors had to go through layers of screening, and they might not even get to see Stephen in the end. Stephen looked at the information that Chen handed him in surprise. Does Chen know about this? Stephen asked. Chen Ku thought to herself that her cousin's position in Stephen's heart was really high. His first question was not to ask himself about acting, but to ask his cousin. I don't know, Chen Ku answered. The character is based on your cousin, Stephen said. Chen Ku's heart skipped a beat, but she remained calm. It's just a role in the movie. It has nothing to do with reality. That's true. Compared to other actors, you have an advantage in this aspect, Stephen said. Of course, he would not casually decide on an important role, and Chen Ke did have an advantage in this aspect. First of all, she was Chun Zhao's cousin, so she would definitely come into contact with him. Moreover, she had her own fame, acting skills, and the China market behind her. They were all above average. They had also worked together once before. Although it was very short, Stephen still had a good impression of Chen Ke. Actually, the role of an Asian man's wife could be played by either an Asian or a Western woman. It was not completely confirmed yet. A more professional evaluation was needed before a decision could be made. What's your salary? Stephen asked. $2 million. This salary was considered the level of a second-tier star in Hollywood. Compared to Stephen, this was indeed a good deal at a low price. Stephen thought for a moment and said, Personally, I'm more inclined to invite you to join the crew, but I can't give you an accurate answer yet. Okay, Mr. Stephen. I understand. I look forward to your answer. This script is part of your audition lines. Take it back and study it. I'll notify you for the second audition in 3 days. Whether you succeed or not, I'll give you an answer. Thank you, Mr. Stephen. Actually, with Stephen's words, Chen Ke was already 70% confident that she could get the role. After Chen Ke left the audition room, Stephen picked up the phone. Hey, Chen, do you know that your cousin is here for the audition? Oh, she's here for the audition. Chen Zhao was somewhat surprised, but it seemed to be reasonable. Yes, she's auditioning for the role of your character's wife. She's not suitable? No, she's very suitable, Stephen answered. Oh, if you think she's suitable, then use her, Chen Zhao said. Okay, then it's settled. Stephen actually already had a plan. He gave Chen Ke the script not to see if she was suitable, but to evaluate how many scenes she could get. Actually, the main characters of the movie were 2 old men and an Asian man. To put it simply, it was a drama for men. Chen Ke was auditioning for the female lead role, but in terms of scenes, she was only a supporting actress. However, probably no female star in Hollywood could reject the role of the female lead in Stephen's movie. When Chen Ke walked out of the set, Wang Lu walked up to her. Ke, how was it? Not bad. Ke's lips curled into a smile. She might not be 90% confident in the audition, but she was at least 70 to 80% confident. That's good. Before they could take 2 steps, they saw a car stop beside them. Zhou Xiaonan was leading 3 people out of the car. Sister Nan. Chen Ke looked at the 4 in surprise. She did not expect to meet them so coincidentally. Zhou Xiaonan was also surprised to see Chen Ke here. Sister Aku. The 3 actors were all older than Chen Ke, but when they saw her, they all called her sister. This was very common in the entertainment industry. Experience meant everything. Aku, why are you here? I just finished the audition, Chen Ke said. Oh, you auditioned? How was it? I'm not sure, Chen Ke said tactfully. Just then, Chen Ke's phone rang. Zhou Xiaonan found that Chen Ke's caller ID was Stephen. She actually had Stephen's number. Hello, Mr. Stephen. Miss Chen, after the evaluation, my team and I have decided to sign the contract with you. You might have to come again tomorrow. I'll prepare the contract then. Okay, Mr. Stephen. Thank you. Chen Ke and Stephen's conversation was overheard by the people around them. Chapter 967. They had heard that several A-list Hollywood actresses were competing for the role, but they didn't expect Chen Ke to get it. By now, everyone's expression had changed. She was going to play the role of Stephen, and it wasn't a supporting role, but a main role. This meant that Chen Ke was one step closer to becoming a superstar. At first, Zhou Xiaonan had thought that Chen Ke had said that she had her own connections to protect her reputation. But now it seemed that she had underestimated Chen Ke's connections. After all, Zhou Xiaonan was the head of an entertainment company. She knew very well how complicated it was to choose a main role in a movie. It was a game that concerned the company and the exchange of interests. It wasn't a role that could be obtained by selling one's body. Forget about Hollywood. Just look at the domestic entertainment industry. Some actors relied on unspoken rules to get a role that wasn't popular, but the main role would never rely on unspoken rules to get a role. Ah, cool. The three of them are here for the audition too. Why don't you take them to see Mr. Stephen? Sister, you're making things difficult for me. What a joke. She had just gotten the role herself. Taking three irrelevant people to see Stephen? She wouldn't dare to do such a thing even if she ate a bear's heart or a leopard's gall. It would leave Stephen with a feeling that he didn't know when to advance or retreat. And a director hated actors who didn't know when to advance or retreat. Zhou Xiaonan knew that her request was a little too much, but she couldn't do anything about it. After all, her connections were all in China. When she came to Hollywood, her connections were of no use at all. Now that she had brought 3 male actors, she could only submit their resumes to Stephen's studio. Although it was an arranged audition, Stephen wouldn't be doing it himself. Instead, it would be done by several assistant directors. These assistant directors only had the power to send them to the next audition, but they didn't have the power to decide whether they would stay or not. Of course, the 3 male actors she brought this time were also of a certain standard. Li Qingyang, 28, used to be a popular male idol in China. After his popularity gradually declined, he changed his profession and took on many roles that tested his acting skills, but he had never returned to his peak. Wang He, 27 years old, was still a popular newbie. He was extremely popular in the country and was also the company's money-making king. Even Chen Ku had to concede defeat to him. Zhang Mao, 26 years old, had won the Best Supporting Actor award at a local film festival. His fame and popularity were not high, but his acting skills were the best. As this was a Hollywood audition, popularity in the country was basically useless. Therefore, the 3 of them were considered to be on the same starting line. Then, Zhou Xiaonan brought them to the set. The first round of auditions was very easy, and the 3 of them easily passed. Actually, the first round was not really an audition. As long as one had some aptitude, it would not be difficult for them to pass the first round. The second round was a makeup audition, and the third round was Stephen's personal audition. After leaving the set, the 3 of them relaxed. Don't run around. Go read the script when you get back to the hotel and prepare for the second round of auditions the day after tomorrow, Zhou Xiaonan said. Got it, Sister Nan. When the 3 of them returned to the hotel, Wang He was the first to be unable to sit still. Qingyang, let's go for a walk. But sister, Nan doesn't allow us to wander around randomly. Have you already prepared your script? Why can't we walk around? We're not kids. Wang He had come from a wealthy family since he was young, so he could not sit still in the country. As long as he was not working, he would go out to drink and have fun. There were no reporters taking pictures of them overseas, so he was even more carefree. But we're not familiar with Los Angeles. I'm familiar with it. I've been studying here for 4 years. Then where are we going? Li Qingyang asked. Call Zhang Mao. I'll bring you to a high-end restaurant. It's the favorite restaurant of Hollywood celebrities. Oh, you're saying that we might have a chance to meet a Hollywood star? It's possible. When I was studying, I came here a few times and met one. Then what are we waiting for? Call Zhang Mao. The 2 of them knocked on Zhang Mao's room door. Li Qingyang said, Zhang Mao, let's go out to eat. Ah, didn't we just eat not long ago? Just now the hotel provided food. I didn't eat much at all. Is that for humans? I'll bring you out for a good meal, Wang He said. Zhang Mao was soon convinced. The 3 of them left the hotel together, hailed a cab, and headed straight to Marina Restaurant. Wang He, can we really meet a Hollywood star at Marina Restaurant? That Marina Restaurant was originally opened by a Hollywood star, Na Twain. Fuck, Na Twain. Na Twain? I really like his movies. Then if we go to that restaurant, can we meet Na Twain? How would I know? I've never seen him in person. When the three of them arrived at the entrance of the restaurant, they realized that there was already a long line. Fuck, why are there so many people? Watch me. Wang he walked up and stuffed $100 into the waiter's hand. Hey, can you let me and my friend in first? Sorry, no. Please line up, the waiter said coldly. Wang He's expression froze, and his expression turned ugly. He had wanted to show off in front of Li Qingyang and Zhang Mao, but he ended up getting slapped in the face by the waiter. However, he quickly calmed down. After all, this was not China. The three of them could only line up obediently. Why don't we go to another restaurant? Wang Mao was the least famous, so he took the initiative to ease Wang He's awkwardness. No, let's go here. I told you to bring someone for a good meal. That's the restaurant's rules. I've gotten used to staying in China and forgot about the rules here, Wang He explained. Since we're overseas, let's follow their rules. Don't embarrass our countrymen, Li Qingyang said. However, at this moment, an Asian man who looked like them walked past the line and went straight to the front of the service counter. Then, that person spoke a few words to the waiter at the service counter. The waiter was very respectful to the Asian man. After a few words, the Asian man walked straight into the restaurant. Seeing this scene, Wang He was instantly enraged. If everyone did things according to the rules, he would not have a single word of complaint. But why did others get to go in first while he had to line up here? Was it because he was not rich enough? Or was it because his status was not high enough? Chapter 968. He's the boss, the waiter said, rolling his eyes. Wang He blushed, but the next moment he realized something was wrong. Wait, isn't the boss Mr. Nafa Twain? Mr. Twain is the second shareholder, and that Mr. Chen is the biggest shareholder. Wang He returned to his seat silently. He started regretting bringing Li Qingyang and Zhang Mao here. He felt like he'd lost all his dignity today. He'd come to someone else's restaurant and questioned why the boss could enter. Wang He's heart skipped a beat. Is the boss from China? He asked. Yes. Is there a problem? No. Finally, it was the three's turn. They entered the restaurant. Wang He knew that many Hollywood celebrities couldn't buy Marina's restaurant even if they wanted to. Since that person could buy shares of Marina's restaurant, he either knew Nafa Twain or was very powerful. Perhaps he could get to know him and expand his Hollywood connections. Of course, even if he couldn't help him, there was no harm in getting to know another friend. After the three sat down and were about to order, Wang He saw Chen Zhao walk into a private room. Wang He made a mental note of that private room. The food here is really good. These are lobsters imported from Australia. Every year, there's a quota for Australian lobsters. North America's quota is less than 20,000. We're lucky today. This should be the restaurant's new batch of lobsters. If we weren't lucky, we'd have to make a reservation to eat Australian lobsters. It's really good, but it's not cheap, right? You guys eat first, Wang He said, standing up. I'm going to the bathroom. The private room Chen Zhao walked into was the largest in the restaurant. He'd called all the members of the association over and treated them to a meal here. Klaus, why is your waist bulging? President. Klaus pulled up the corner of his shirt, revealing a submachine gun. Fuck, you brought a submachine gun to eat? Did you want to bring a grenade? Chen Zhao cursed. President, I brought some. Klaus took out the 3 salted eggs he'd brought with him. Fuck you. Do you want to blow up my restaurant? Do you have more? Take them all out. Klaus and his 5 team members all took out the firearms they brought with them. They were all embarrassed. In fact, when they received the notice to gather here, they thought that Chen Zhao was going to do something, so they were all fully armed. Only now did they realize that Chen Zhao was going to treat them to a meal. Plus, this was Chen Zhao's restaurant. Everyone took out their firearms and placed them on the table. Chen Zhao suspected that all 6 of them had spatial rings. All kinds of firearms, grenades, and sabers were found on the 6 of them. Klaus, if you blow up the president's restaurant, I think you should consider going to Africa to mine, West teased. Klaus enjoyed working in the supernatural organization, even though he and his team members were considered newbies in this field. However, as they gradually got used to the paranormal missions, they began to like it. Also, the treatment they received in the supernatural organization was many times better than what they had received in the anti-terrorist operations department. Chen Zhao gave them benefits every other day. Moreover, Chen Zhao was the most protective. Although he usually seemed harsh, he would always step forward at crucial times. Just then, the door to the private room opened. Wang He walked to the door and saw guns and grenades all over the table. Chen Zhao even had a gun in his hand. Wang He peed his pants on the spot. He stood at the door, not knowing whether to go in or out. Is this an arms trade? Wang He wanted to turn around and escape, but Klaus was quick to react. He pulled Wang He in and locked the door from the inside. President, do you know him? I don't know him. Throw him down from here. Wang He wanted to scream, but his mouth was covered tightly by Klaus. Huh. Everyone burst into laughter. Okay, it's just a joke. Let him go. Chen Zhao waved his hand. Don't talk nonsense outside. Klaus finally let go of Wang He and patted his chest. Remember, don't talk nonsense. Cold sweat poured down Wang He's forehead as he nodded repeatedly. He felt that he might have barged into an arms trade. Wasn't that how arms trade was in movies? Luckily, these people didn't plan to kill him. Wang He walked out of the private room in cold sweat. He felt like he couldn't even stand properly. Then, he urged Zhang Mao and Li Qingyang to leave. The two were having a good time eating when they were dragged away by Wang He. They were naturally reluctant, but they saw that Wang He's expression wasn't right. He returned to the hotel in a state of shock. Wang He, what's wrong with you? You look like you've seen a ghost. I accidentally ran into an arms trade with a gang. Wang He's face was pale. Don't joke around. Do I look like I'm joking? Did they find you? Yes, I was almost killed, Wang He said. Wang He said, but the party who made the deal should also be Chinese. They probably let me off on account of us being from the same hometown. Should we call the police? Call the police? Do you want to die? This isn't our country. It's America, Wang He said, panicking. Will that gang come looking for trouble with you? I don't think so. If they wanted to kill me, they could have killed me on the spot. But this incident made Wang He tone down a lot. For the past 2 days, he stayed in the hotel like a good boy and didn't even dare to step out of the hotel. It wasn't until the day of the second round of auditions that Wang He left. He headed to the set to prepare for the second round of auditions. Yo, isn't this the people from Guangyu culture? You guys are here too? Zhou Xiaonan and the rest raised their heads and saw that the person who had arrived was actually Huashi Entertainment's vice president, Li Changyu. Behind him were 2 male actors. These 2 male actors were definitely A-list actors in the country. Their popularity, appeal, reputation, and even acting skills were not something the 3 people behind Zhou Xiaonan could compare to. Seeing these people, Zhou Xiaonan's expression turned ugly. Li Changyu and his people were practically crushing Zhou Xiaonan and her actors in every aspect. Move aside, don't block the way. At this moment, a voice came from behind. Everyone turned around and saw an Asian and a Caucasian. When Wang He saw them, his expression changed. Chapter 9:69. Li Changyu looked at Chen Zhao. The first thing he saw was the tags on Chen Zhao and Ban Ke's necks. Just like his 2 actors, he was here for the audition. However, the difference was that both of them had white badges and were auditioning for ordinary roles. From a side character to a 4th or 5th character, the people that Li Changyu had brought along were the main characters for the auditions. This is not a place where you should go. You should leave from the side door, Li Changyu said in a condescending manner. Chen, let's go through the side door. Ban Ke did not want any conflict. These people clearly had their own companies. On the other hand, he and Chen Zhao were untrained actors without any background. If there was a conflict, they would definitely not have the upper hand. On the other hand, Wang he took the initiative to pull Zhang Mao and Li Qinyang, making way for Qin Zhao. Qin Zhao walked over, but his shoulder purposely bumped into Li Changyu's shoulder. Li Changyu was knocked to the ground. "What are you doing? Barbarian!" Li Changyu was furious. This time, it was Qin Zhao's turn to look down on Li Changyu. He said coldly, "If you want to show your temper, you better go back to China. Don't embarrass yourself outside." "Barbarian, you're the one who's embarrassing. I'll get Mr. Stevens' staff to kick you out." Qin Zhao pursed his lips. He knew most of the people in Stevens' studio. If he could really kick him out, Qin Zhao would admire him. Ban Ku was a bit worried. Seeing Qin Zhao's tough response, he was worried that both Qin Zhao and himself would be kicked out. It wasn't easy for him to get into the second round of auditions. Although it was just a small role, he didn't want to lose this opportunity. When the two of them entered the audition venue, the atmosphere inside suddenly became serious. There were already many actors in the second round who were performing for the assistant directors. "Qin, I'll go up first," Banka said. "You have to work hard." "Okay, you too." Just then, Zhou Xiaonan brought Wang He, Zhang Mao, and Li Qinyang over. They also sat beside Qin Zhao and Ban Ku. Then, Li Changyu and two other male actors sat not far away. When Li Changyu looked at Qin Zhao, his eyes were somewhat unfriendly. Li Changyu glanced at the assistant directors in charge of judging not far away, then stood up and walked over. "Hello, Mr. Reeps." "Hello, Mr. Li. What can I do for you?" Lippies had been to China a few times, so he had some friendship with Li Changyu. Moreover, some insider information about this audition had also been passed to Li Changyu through him. It was precisely because of Lippy's cooperation that Li Changyu felt that this audition was in the bag. Although Lippy's wasn't the final decision-maker, he still had some say in the matter. "Mr. Lippy's, that person is an evil person. I suggest you kick him out." Li Changyu pointed in Chen Zhao's direction. Ban Ke noticed Li Changyu's actions and immediately became nervous. "Chen, they seem to know each other. Will we be kicked out?" "No," Qin Zhao said calmly. "Prepare yourself. Don't think too much." Wang he also noticed Li Changyu and felt sorry for him in his heart. Hopefully, Li Changyu wouldn't anger Qin Zhao and die on the streets of America. This guy was definitely a gangster. He might even be an arms dealer. Lippies also saw Qin Zhao. He knew who Chen Zhao was and what he was doing here. Kick Qin Zhao out? What a joke. He would be lucky if Qin Zhao didn't kick him out. "Mr. Li, I don't have the right to kick anyone here." "Sorry," Lippies said. "It's going to be your artist's turn soon. Get ready." Li Changyu didn't expect Lippies to be so disrespectful. Filled with resentment, he returned to his chair. Chen Zhao looked at Li Changyu and gave him the middle finger. This infuriated Li Changyu. Finally, it was Ban Ke's turn. Qin Zhao patted Ban Ke's shoulder. "Relax. As long as you perform at your usual level, you'll definitely be able to do it." If Ban Ke could perform at his usual level, he would be more than enough to play a small role. As long as he performed at his usual level, Chen Zhao would speak up for him even if there were other actors of the same level. But if Ban Ke couldn't perform at his usual level, Qin Zhao wouldn't speak up for him either. After all, if he wasn't good enough, Qin Zhao couldn't keep telling Stephen, "This is my friend, that's my friend." By then, the entire movie would be filled with substandard actors. This wasn't what Chen Zhao wanted. Plus, he'd invested in the movie himself. Ban Ke was very nervous when he went on stage. Seeing the 4 assistant directors taking notes, he felt that they might be recording his mistakes. He became even more nervous and couldn't help but look at Qin Zhao. He and Chen Zhao had met outside the set. Actually, he'd taken the initiative to meet Qin Zhao in order to gain some confidence from Qin Zhao. He felt that being with an outsider could make him more confident. Qin Zhao furrowed his brows and gestured at Ban Ke to cheer him on. Ban Ke took a deep breath and began his performance. But then he gradually got into the groove. His eyes and expressions were all on point. The four assistant directors below the stage nodded slightly. Ban only heaved a sigh of relief when he got off the stage. Ban Ku advanced to the next round of interviews. The next round will be in 5 days. Be prepared. One of the assistant directors said. Ban Ku's performance wasn't good at the beginning, but he made up for it very well. They'd seen this happen many times. Some newcomers with good acting skills were nervous during the audition. This was understandable. It wasn't a competition anyway. It was fine as long as the actor had a certain level of acting skills. Lee Changyu kept staring at Chen Zhao, his eyes filled with resentment. In his opinion, Lepise didn't kick Chen Zhao out directly, but he'd definitely make things difficult for Chen Zhao after he went on stage. Finally, it was Chen Zhao's turn to perform. Chen Zhao walked to the front of the stage. I'm auditioning for a sleeping kidnapper. Chen Zhao started to close his eyes, imagining himself dozing off. Good. Very good performance. Yeah, very good. Your acting is very good. You've advanced to the next round of auditions. The four assistant directors all had the same tone, praising Chen Zhao endlessly. Lee Changyu's eyes almost popped out. He asked the actor beside him, Wu Hao, did that guy act well just now? I think so, Wu Hao said. Look at the four assistant directors. They're almost praising him to the heavens. Acting was a very subjective thing to begin with. Some people might think the same scene was good, while others might not. It was impossible to tell. Chapter 970. Chen, congratulations. Ban Ke stood up and hugged Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao chuckled. He'd gotten in through the back door. He couldn't be happy at all. However, Chen Zhao still gave Lee Changyu, who was furious, not far away, the middle finger. Lee Changyu's face was filled with anger. He gritted his teeth and glared at Chen Zhao. After Chen Zhao and Ban Ke left the set, Ban Ke said goodbye to Chen Zhao. Lee Changyu looked at Chen Zhao from afar and took out a phone. Mr. Seeley, I want to ask you for a favor. Is that okay? Who are you? I'm Lee Changyu. We met at the banquet yesterday and exchanged phone numbers. Have you forgotten? Oh, you're that Chinese guy? Seeley remembered. That's me, Lee Changyu answered. Tell me, what do you want me to do? I want you to help me find a few people and beat up one person. Haha, you know what I do for a living, don't you? Seeley said. I'm with Mr. M.O., Lee Changyu said. I've heard about your job. Then you know that my fees are very high, right? No matter how much it is, Lee Changyu said. Tell me, who do you want to beat up? He's also a Chinese. His name is Chen Zhao, Lee Changyu said. Chen Zhao? A person's face suddenly flashed through Seeley's mind. He remembered clearly that he'd met a Chinese guy almost a year ago. But later on, a big boss appeared to protect that Chinese man and even threatened him. But after that, Seeley Dirk investigated the Chinese man. He realized that the guy was only a university professor and an illegal doctor. Seeley Dirk guessed that this person must have some sort of relationship with the big boss. But the big shot probably wouldn't protect him all the time. Of course, after that incident, they didn't have anything more to do with each other. So Seeley didn't plan on taking revenge. He just didn't expect that someone would come to him again to deal with the Chinese guy. Seeley thought for a moment and said, What's your price? $10,000, Lee Changyu said. He knew one or two people in the underworld in the United States, so he had heard of some prices. Mr. Lee, are you joking with me? Do I look like someone who needs that kind of money? Seeley Dirk said angrily. Perhaps it would only cost him $10,000 to beat someone up. But since the other party called him, it was not a problem that could be solved with $10,000. The other party offered $10,000 to humiliate him. What an insatiable American. Lee Changyu was dissatisfied, but he didn't show it. So, Mr. Seeley, what price do you think is suitable? At least 100,000 US dollars. Lee Changyu felt a little heartache. $100,000 was not a small amount. I hope you can catch him and bring him to me. I want to humiliate him face to face. That's a markup. 200,000. 200,000 it is. Li Changyu gritted his teeth and agreed. Chin, how did you feel at the audition? Stephen called Chen Zhao. Boring and annoying, Chen Zhao said bluntly. It's fine. The next one should be more exciting. You'll be the main examiner, too. There's a next one. The next one is the last one. It's an audition with makeup. Okay. Remember, it's in 3 days. Got it. After hanging up, Chen Zhao planned to go to the headquarters. Just then, Chen Zhao realized that 2 unfamiliar vans were following them. The road to the headquarters was very remote. Normal people would not come here. It was Li Changyu's first time participating in an operation like this. A group of local gangsters had come out to beat someone up. He was also very nervous. The gangsters in the vans were all shouting or smoking. Li Changyu already regretted participating. Even if he had to find someone to beat that person up, he did not have to do it himself. Fuck! Why does this yellow monkey have to come to this godforsaken place? Just step on the gas and drive over. When I catch him, I'll break his limbs. Li Changyu broke out in a cold sweat. He had wanted to vent his anger, but now things seemed to be getting out of control. If these hooligans beat someone to death, what would he do if he was involved in a murder case? America was different from China. In China, he might be able to cover it up with his connections. But here in the United States, his connections were completely useless. Although he knew a few people from the underworld in the United States, if he was in trouble, they might not help him. It was also possible that he wanted to take the opportunity to blackmail him. But looking at these vicious gangsters, he wanted to cancel the operation, but he did not dare to say it, afraid that they would beat him up. Just then, the car in front stopped. A very unique and technologically advanced building appeared in front of them. Li Changyu had a bad feeling when he saw the building. Were these gangsters planning to fight here? He got out of the car and saw the 2 cars behind him stop. More than 10 gangsters got out. Then he saw Li Changyu get out. Jin, you didn't expect this, did you? Li Changyu threw his previous fear to the back of his mind and looked at Chen Zhao proudly. Chen Zhao was speechless. Were the people who started companies in the entertainment industry all stupid? Were they doing too well in the country? Did they think that they could use this kind of method everywhere? Didn't they know that there would be endless trouble if they got involved with gangsters? Even Chen Zhao had kept his distance from the gangs in the past year, or so he'd been in America. That was because gangs were the symbol of trouble. If it was not necessary, Chen Zhao did not want to deal with gangsters. Just because of a small conflict, he actually hired a gang to cause trouble for him. This Li Changyu was either out of his mind or he was an idiot to begin with. What did you think of? Chen Zhao looked at Li Changyu. Are these your friends? Huh. The gangsters laughed. Yellow monkey, don't you understand the situation? Let me teach you what's going on. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Suddenly there was a whistling sound in the air. Everyone raised their heads and looked at the sky. Helicopter? Was there a helicopter here? Chapter 971. President, I realized that one of these gangsters is a first-class wanted criminal. Right now, there was a sniper lying on the roof of the HQ, monitoring the entrance with his sniper rifle. Shoot, Qin Zhao ordered. At this moment, the head of a person in the middle of the dozen or so hooligans exploded without any warning. Then there was a gunshot. Everyone's expression froze. Fear was written all over Li Changyu's face. Was this a movie? It had to be a movie, right? Why did this happen? The headless corpse fell backwards in front of Li Changyu. Run! If you dare to move, you'll be turned into a beehive. Qin Zhao looked at the gangsters with a demonic smile. Just then, the gun barrels on both sides of the helicopter above them shot out 2 tongues of fire. The van they'd come in was instantly riddled with holes. Then the mailbox exploded, turning into scrap metal. All the gangsters covered their heads with their hands and lay on the ground. This was the most standard surrender posture. No one was as arrogant and presumptuous as when they'd gotten out of the car. Clearly, Chen Zhao wasn't someone who could let them do whatever they wanted. The headless corpse was enough to prove that Chen Zhao and his people were a group of butchers who were even more vicious than them. Sniper rifles and helicopter weren't normal weapons. Most of them had only experienced street fights. They'd never faced weapons that could only appear on a battlefield or in movies. As for Li Changyu, he'd already wet his pants. Didn't they just find a few gangsters to beat him up? Did they have to launch such a big attack? Adus, come and clean up. President, I'm a security guard, not a sanitation worker. I want a raise. Adus grumbled as he dragged the corpse away. He was just joking with Chen Zhao. The pay here was so high. Plus, they always gave benefits and used public funds to travel abroad. Even if he died, he'd die in the supernatural organization. 2 people with submachine guns walked out and yelled, "Stand up and put your hands on your heads. If anyone dares to move, shoot them all." No one wanted to cause a misunderstanding. Everyone put their hands on their heads and followed the 2 into the HQ. Li Changyu wanted to explain, but he was hit in the head with the butt of a gun. Put your hands on your heads and follow. Everyone was brought to the man-made lake. Then he was pointed at by a group of people with assault rifles. They didn't know what their fate would be. They were all waiting for this group of evil people to give them their judgment. At this time, West came out with a list and picked a few people. You, and you, the 4 of you come out and fight. The 4 people who were pointed out walked out, trembling with fear. West waved his hand. Da-da-da-da. 4 people were killed in an instant. The rest of the people were terrified once again. Too scary. This group of people was really too scary. They were demons who killed without batting an eye. Bang, bang. All of you shut up. Quiet down. Klaus fired 2 shots into the air. Anyone who speaks without orders will be executed on the spot. Li Changyu wanted to cry. He didn't expect Chen Zhao to be so terrifying. This was even scarier than the gangs he knew. What kind of organization was this? Adus moved a chair for Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao sat on it and crossed his legs. President, what should we do with these corpses? Who wants them? Chen Zhao asked. Some spells might use corpses, so Chen Zhao asked. No one wants them. Then burn them. Burn them far away and not too close, Chen Zhao said. Oh, set up a frame here and hang him above the lake. Chen Zhao pointed at Li Changyu. Li Changyu cried, Don't kill me, don't kill me. I know Master Amo, I know Master Amo. Who's Master Amo? The leader of the Chinese gang in L.A., West said, glancing at Chen Zhao. Oh, I don't know him, Chen Zhao said calmly. Then he looked at the remaining hoodlums. Whose subordinates are you? We're Seely Decker's subordinates. Let me think. Seely Decker, I remember now. I know him. President, is he your friend? No, he threatened me once. Since it's the 2nd time, who's going to bring him here? Chen Zhao asked. President, I'll go, Klaus said without thinking. Okay, you go. Chen Zhao nodded. Seely Decker waited for a long time, but his subordinates didn't come back. These asterisks holes, why aren't they back yet? Seely Dirk started to get impatient when he couldn't get through the phone. He didn't like this situation. He liked to control everything. Just then, there was a knock on the door. Come in, Seely Dirk called. But it was a stranger. Who are you? Seely asked. My boss wants you to come, Klaus said. Seely's eyelid twitched. He realized that things were bad. Don't do anything unnecessary to avoid getting hurt, Klaus said indifferently. After all, I've been fighting my way here. I'm very nervous. I don't want to kill the 18th person. Seely's expression changed. There were more than 10 people outside his house. Could it be that this fellow had killed all his subordinates? Sir, who's your boss? You'll know when you get there, Klaus said. Seely could only follow behind Klaus and get into his car. Klaus held the steering wheel with both hands. Seely's eyes kept darting around. Don't try to resist. You can't beat me. Klaus seemed to see through Seely's thoughts. Hey, brother, how much does your boss pay you? I can pay you double. Even if you pay my boss 10 times, it's useless. I don't want to be hunted down by him. Klaus really didn't dare to betray Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao was always smiling, but once he got angry, it would really be like the end of the world. Unless he took the money and hid in some chaotic country in Africa, Chen Zhao might not chase him. But if he found him, it might be more terrifying than hell. 20 times. Seely felt that he could buy everyone in the world. 30 times? 50 times? We're here. Let's get out. Klaus wasn't interested in talking to Seely at all. He didn't understand what he was going to face and who he was going to face. Chapter 972. Just then, an old man walked past Seely with some sympathy in his eyes. His eyes were filled with sympathy. Seeing this, Seely immediately yelled, "What are you looking at? Do you want to die?" Aduz ignored Seely's yelling. This wasn't a place where he could be arrogant. This was the supernatural organization. There was only one boss here. He could only accept one person yelling here. "Klaus, help me tell our president," Aduz said. "He was being mean to me, just now. He wanted to kill me." Seely glared at Aduz. "You're asking for it." Klaus stared at Seely. Did he not know what situation he was in? Did he think that he still had the capital to bargain with? Seely Dirk saw Chen Zhao and his men from afar. "Hi, Mr. Chen." Seely acted as if nothing had happened. "Hi, Mr. Seely, you're here." Chen Zhao also acted like nothing had happened. "Why did you call me here?" Seely asked, smiling. "I've been watching some gangster movies recently. I realized that as a gang leader I lack a symbol. Mr. Chen, are you planning on doing this?" Seely chuckled. "Yes." Chen Zhao nodded seriously. "Then, what did Mr. Chen say is missing?" "Come, bring it here," Chen Zhao said. Gaia pushed a machine before them. "Let me introduce it to you. This is a BG-85 mincing machine. It costs $735 and can mince 100 kilograms of meat." Chen Zhao patted the mincing machine. The gangsters in the movies all have a machine like this. They can stuff their enemies into the mincing machine. Seely and his subordinates all had unnatural expressions. "Huh. Mr. Chen, you really like to joke." Chen Zhao chuckled, his tone extremely gentle. "Do I look like I'm joking with you? Mr. Chen, I admit that I offended you earlier. I apologize." Seely had to admit his mistake. He lowered his head and admitted his mistake. Regardless of whether Chen Zhao really wanted to stuff him into the meat grinder or not, he didn't want to lose his life. No need to apologize. Chen Zhao turned on the mincing machine. The meat grinder roared, and everyone's scalp went numb. Chen Zhao pulled Seely over. This time, Seely realized that Chen Zhao was serious. He was so scared that his legs turned to jelly. "Mr. Chen, let me explain." Chen Zhao dragged his right hand and pressed it against the entrance of the mincing machine. "Chen." Blood mist and minced meat sprayed out of the meat grinder's exit. All of it splashed onto the hoodlums and scoundrels in front of him. Chen Zhao let go of Seely. "Continue. I'm going to the bathroom." Damn, this cruel punishment was even more disgusting than he had imagined. It wasn't that Chen Zhao hadn't killed before, but even smashing someone's head wasn't as disgusting as using a meat grinder. Everyone else's expressions were ugly too. Even Klaus and the others had similar expressions. Seely clutched his right arm and fell to the ground, screaming in pain. His subordinates were so scared that their faces were drained of blood. 5 minutes later, Chen Zhao walked out again. "Bury him along with the meat grinder." Chen Zhao waved his hand. He wasn't interested in stuffing Seely into the meat grinder. He didn't plan on doing it for the rest of his life. This thing was really too disgusting. "What do we do with these people?" West asked, pointing at the hoodlums. "All of them stay. Everyone wear a bomb collar." "Oh, Pick someone to show them what a bomb collar is. The bomb collar was completely inspired by Jolig from the movies. It was a collar that would explode. With a press of the remote, the collar would explode and send the person's head into the sky. What about him? West asked, pointing at Li Changyu. Chun Zhao thought about it. Li Changyu didn't plan on killing him. He just wanted to teach him a lesson. Besides, Li Changyu was different from Silly Dirk and his men. Li Changyu was just an ordinary businessman, and Chen Zhao was from the same hometown. Forget it. Let him go, Chen Zhao said, waving his hand. It was enough to teach him a lesson. The lesson wasn't just physical damage. It was also psychological damage. He went to the hotel garage and was about to go shopping. Suddenly, a car stopped in front of him. Then, he saw Chen Zhao get out of the car and throw Li Changyu to the ground. He was shocked. He wanted to pretend that he didn't see anything. But Chen Zhao ignored him. Instead, he squatted before Li Changyu. Mr. Li, you know what to say and what not to say, right? Li Changyu curled up into a ball and looked at Chen Zhao in fear. He nodded hurriedly. He'd experienced too many things in the past day. Now, he really regretted provoking Chen Zhao. Who would have thought that a Chinese would be an out-and-out butcher here? He even had a group of vicious thugs under his command. Chen Zhao glanced at Wang He, then got into the car and left. Seeing Chen Zhao leave, Wang He dared to go forward. Mr. Li, are you okay? Li Changyu had been curled up into a ball and trembling. Mr. Li, Mr. Li. Li Changyu's condition was clearly not right. He was wet and trembling. Wang He hurriedly called the ambulance and sent Li Changyu to the hospital. After the diagnosis, it was confirmed that Li Changyu had been abused before. There were obvious wounds on his body and water in his lungs. Then the police came and Wang He made a statement. Of course, Wang He didn't dare to tell them about Chen Zhao. He only said that he saw Li Changyu in the garage and was sent to the hospital. Judging from Chen Zhao's lawless behavior, he didn't know if calling the police would work. But he was sure that if he told the police the truth, he would be dead for sure. Wang He, where are you now? Just then, Zhou Xiaonan called. Sister Nan, I'm at the hospital. You're sick. No. I saw Mr. Li from Hua Entertainment in the garage. I think he's sick, so I sent him to the hospital. Don't worry about him. Come back immediately. What's the rush? Chin Ku's here. She said she'll bring the three of you to visit someone. This person will be crucial to whether or not you'll be chosen. Chapter 973. Chen Ku glanced at Zhou Xiaonan and then at Wang He, Zhang Mao, and Li Qingyang. The person I'm taking you to see is my cousin. Biological. Zhou Xiaonan subconsciously thought that Chen Ku had recognized him. Maybe they had some secret relationship. Yes, but we're not that close, Chen Ku said. Can your cousin help them with the audition? Mr. Stephen didn't plan to participate in James's Animal Mart, but the director of God of War, which was released at the same time, offended my cousin, so my cousin asked Mr. Stephen to help James suppress the box office of God of War. What Chen Ku said was what James had told her. Hearing Chen Ku's words, everyone couldn't help but gasp. They didn't expect Chen Ku to have such an important connection. No wonder she could get such an important role. He's a bit overbearing, Chen Ku said. Don't get into conflict with him whether you get a satisfactory answer or not. Of course, Aku. I'll be grateful to you whether it works or not. You're welcome. Actually, Zhou Xiaonan had to pay a price for Chen Ku's help. In exchange, Zhou Xiaonan had to promote Chen Ku in China. After all, the domestic entertainment industry was Chen Ku's root. Only if she had enough popularity and appeal in China could she have enough confidence in Hollywood. After all, Hollywood blockbusters couldn't ignore the Chinese market. If Chen Ku could have enough influence in China, she would have a higher chance of getting a role in Hollywood. Chen Ku brought everyone to Mirror Lake. The scenery here is so beautiful. That yacht over there is so big and beautiful. Mr. Stephen gave it to my cousin, Chen Ku said. He's the godfather of my cousin's daughter. Everyone became more and more nervous. They didn't know what kind of big shot it was. That villa is so beautiful, too. It's so big. I really want to build a villa here, too. Don't think about it, Chinku said. My cousin owns all the land within 20 square kilometers. If you want to be his neighbor, I'm afraid you'll have to get his permission first. Everyone's heart tightened again. They were even more in awe of the cousin they'd never met. The car stopped in front of the villa, and Chinku got out with the others. Qin Zhao walked out of the room, half naked. When everyone saw Qin Zhao, they were all surprised. On the other hand, Wang He's expression turned into one of horror. How could it be him? Why him? Chinku, who are they? Qin Zhao glanced at Zhou Xiaonan and the others. He also recognized them as the people from the morning audition. Why are you here? Zhou Xiaonan also cried out in surprise. Cousin, this is the boss of my company, Sister Zhou Xiaonan, Chinku said. He's your cousin? That's not right. He went to the audition himself, and he auditioned for a small role. Zhou Xiaonan was very suspicious of Chinku's words now. Cousin, what's going on? I just went for the audition. Is there a problem? Zhou Xiaonan felt that she had been deceived, and her face immediately sank. Ah, Ku, I still have things to do, so I'll leave first. Sister, Nan, wait. Zhou Xiaonan didn't give Chinku a chance to explain. She turned around and got into the car with her men. He directly left Chinku on the spot and swaggered off. I really didn't think that Chinku would make up an identity for her cousin just to deal with me. That's too much. Zhou Xiaonan was very angry. Am I that easy to trick? That guy was clearly the one who went for the small role today. If he really knew Stephen and had such connections, he wouldn't have gone through so much trouble to audition, Li Qingyang said. Exactly, Zhang Mao added. Zhang Mao echoed. I think Chinku is lying to us on purpose. She makes it sound like she has a lot of connections in Hollywood. Only Wang He didn't say anything. He didn't know if Chinku knew Stephen, but he was sure that Stephen did have a lot of power in Los Angeles. He didn't want Qin Zhao to hear what he said, so he remained silent while the others were complaining. Zhou Xiaonan was angry, but Chinku's wings were already set. If she canceled the contract with Chinku, she would be the one at a disadvantage. Therefore, she could only suffer in silence and pretend that nothing had happened. You guys better work harder. Don't be as ungrateful as some people. Cousin, what's going on? Qin Zhao shrugged and said helplessly, Stephen, that old bastard. He wanted me to pretend to be an ordinary actor and observe the auditions. Chinku was completely speechless. She didn't expect such a thing. Don't tell anyone, Qin Zhao warned. If you do, you can forget about your role. After all, it was a movie he'd invested in. Qin Zhao didn't want to mess it up. They're all from your company? Yes. They're all local actors. Yes. Look at them. Which one is suitable for the role? Chinku glanced at Qin Zhao. If I tell you, you won't remove me from the role, right? Do I look that unreasonable? Yes. All three of them have their own strengths. Li Qingyang is 28 years old. He has both acting skills and popularity. Wang He is 27 years old. His acting skills are a little lacking, but he's extremely popular. Zhang Mao is 26 years old. He graduated from an acting school, and his acting skills are the best. He has won a domestic award for Best Supporting Actor, but his domestic popularity is a little lacking. I think Wang He is the most suitable, Qin Zhao said. Why? He's the most handsome and most like me. If I roll my eyes now, will I lose my role? It was time for the third audition. Today there were not only auditions, but also many reporters. They all wanted to know the results as soon as possible. Of course, it was impossible for the reporters to enter the audition studio. How are your preparations? Zhou Xiaonan asked. Sister Nan, I'm ready. Me too. Me too. I've been memorizing lines for the past 3 days. I haven't even left the hotel. It wasn't that long he didn't want to go out, but he didn't dare to. He'd studied in LA before, but he'd never felt that America was so dangerous. Today's main examiner is Mr. Stephen and Mr. Rasva, the president of PLM, one of the big six. You guys have to give your best. Don't embarrass me. By the time they entered the audition studio, it was already filled with actors who were auditioning. They were all looking forward to performing in front of Stephen. Of course, most of them were nervous. A while later, Stephen and Rasva arrived. The crowd immediately became restless. But the audition didn't start, which made the auditions even more restless. Why isn't it starting? Chapter 974. Bank kept looking at the time. He had been wondering why Chen Zhao wasn't here yet. During the audition, the main examiner hated it when actors were late. This would give the main examiner a very bad impression, because the main examiner thought that such people would also be late on set. This was the case for famous actors, and even more so for small actors. Therefore, if an actor was late for the audition, he or she would most likely be eliminated. However, an hour had passed, and the audition still hadn't started. Sister Nan, what's going on? Why are the Americans so slow? Zhou Xiaonan was also somewhat impatient, but she had to wait no matter what. Just then, one of the actors finally couldn't sit still anymore. He stood up and asked loudly, "Mr. Stephen, when can we start the audition?" Stephen lifted his eyelids, glanced at the actor, and picked up the microphone. The most important thing for an actor is patience. Today is just an audition. After the movie starts, you might not have any scenes for the whole day, but I still want you to wait on the set. Can you persevere? The actor's face was bright red. Sorry, Mr. Stephen. After Stephen put down the microphone, Rasva glanced at him and said in a low voice, "You really know how to wrangle. But as an authority, everything you say is correct. That asterisk Sholchin, why isn't he here yet?" Just then there was a commotion outside. An actor charged in, ignoring the security guard's advice. "Mr. Stephen, sorry I'm late," the actor said, sweating profusely. "Sorry, sir, you might need to leave. I need actors who are on time." Stephen didn't even give the actor a chance to explain. He waved at the security guard behind him. All the actors in the audition looked cold and reserved. As a world-class director, he indeed had the dignity of one. Even though the audition hadn't officially started, he still wouldn't allow anyone to be late. "This should be Mr. Stephen's test," Zhou Xiaonan whispered to the three actors beside her. "Maybe the audition has already started. Look, Mr. Stephen keeps taking notes. He's probably recording the performance of every actor in the audition." The three all felt that it made sense. Maybe this was a hidden test. The three of them sat upright and still, no longer whispering to each other. After about 10 minutes, another person came in from outside. When the audition actors saw this person, they were all a little surprised. Wasn't he not allowed to come in? Why did another person come in? Zhou Xiaonan, Wang He, Li Qingyang, and Zhang Mao were a little surprised. How could it be this man? How did he get in here? Did he force his way in? Seeing Chen Zhao, Ban Ku had a complicated expression. He was worried that Chen Zhao would be expelled on the spot. However, Chen Zhao didn't walk toward him. Instead, he walked toward the judges. What is he going to do? Zhou Xiaonan muttered in confusion. Is he trying to plead with Mr. Stephen? Just then, Chen Zhao said, "Sorry, I'm late." Zhou Xiaonan rolled her eyes. Someone in front of her had already been chased out. Did this person think that he could get away with it with just a haha? Everyone at the scene had the same thought. They were all waiting for Chen Zhao to be kicked out. "Fuck, you bastard. Don't you know the time?" Rasva cursed. Everyone was waiting to watch a good show. Who was Rasva? He may not be as famous as Stephen, but he wasn't a small figure either. He was the president of PLM, one of the big six. He stood at the top of the Hollywood pyramid. Offending Rasva was equivalent to offending the entire Hollywood. Even A-list celebrities didn't dare to offend Rasva. But now this man was so late He definitely couldn't stay in Hollywood anymore. We said 9 in the morning, Stephen said with a dark expression. It's almost 10 now. Can't you be a little more punctual? Chen Zhao took out a bottle of wine. Do you want some wine during the audition? Fuck. Stephen and Raspa gave Chen Zhao the middle finger at the same time. Chun Zhao sat down beside them on the third empty seat. Everyone at the scene was in an uproar. Wait, why did he sit in that seat? Wasn't he supposed to be kicked out? Ban Ke stared at Chen Zhao in disbelief. Wouldn't he be kicked out if he sat there? No matter where he sat, he should be kicked out. Zhou Xiaonan, Wang He, Li Qingyang, and Zhang Mao were all in disbelief. Just then, Stephen picked up the microphone and said, Sir, the audition officially begins. But someone was unconvinced. Mr. Stephen, why can he be late? Stephen glanced at the man. Because I set the rules. I want my actors to be punctual, but he's not an actor. He's your judge, and you'd better respect him. After all, he's a narrow-minded person. Fuck, Stephen, I'm not that petty. The crowd was in an uproar. A stranger had become their judge and examiner? Ban Ke was in disbelief. Why did the fellow who had been with him a few days ago suddenly become the chief examiner of this audition? Anyone would find it hard to accept that a candidate had become the main examiner. The faces of Zhou Xiaonan and her 3 artists were filled with disbelief. Did this person really know Stephen? Just then, Stephen said, some of you might know him. He also participated in the previous 2 auditions, but I asked him to mix in with you and secretly test you. He's Raspa's and my most trusted friend, so his evaluation of each of you is very important. If you pass my test but don't pass his, you'll be passed too. Everyone was in an uproar. No one had expected such an outcome. Zhou Xiaonan, Wang He, Zhang Mao, and Li Qingyang's expressions froze. Especially Zhou Xiaonan. She was extremely regretful. Chen Ke had brought them to see Qin Zhao before, but she'd thought that Qin Ke was lying to her, so she'd just left. Qin Ke hadn't lied. Not only did this person know Stephen, but he also knew Raspa. In fact, he really had the final say in this audition. If she'd been more polite back then, perhaps today's audition would be easier and smoother. But now, Zhou Xiaonan started to worry for her artists. Chapter 975. The 3 of us are sitting here, so we don't want to hear any objections, Stephen said in a calm tone. You can call me a tyrant, or you can call me a dictator. Since you're standing here, it means that you've accepted this rule. Qin Zhao picked up the microphone and said with a smile, Don't listen to this old bastard. I'm actually not that petty. Perhaps some people present would believe Chen Zhao, but Wang He definitely did not. That day, Li Changyu had offended Chen Zhao at the audition and was still lying in the hospital. Okay, the audition begins now, Chen Zhao said. He picked up the list and glanced at it. Mr. Ban Ke, please come up. Hearing Chen Zhao call his name, Ban Ke immediately panicked. He'd made ample preparations, but after Chen Zhao sat down, he was completely flustered. He was in a mess. Chen Zhao saw that Ban Ke was panicking. Do I need to arrange you later, or give you more time to prepare? Chen Zhao asked. Everyone could feel that Chen Zhao was taking care of Ban Ke. Zhou Xiaonan and the others all had complicated expressions. If they could build a good relationship with Chen Zhao, they might be able to receive his care. Unfortunately, they'd missed such a good opportunity, just like that. Zhou Xiaonan was very annoyed, but it was too late now. She could only hope that Chen Zhao wouldn't make things difficult for her during the audition. Right now, Zhou Xiaonan really wanted to call Qin Ke and ask her to be more understanding. However, Zhou Xiaonan had also offended Qin Ke that day. She hadn't given Qin Ke any face at all, although it was all a misunderstanding. Qin Ke had brought them to see Qin Zhao out of goodwill. However, Zhou Xiaonan had given her a cold shoulder. In the next few days, Qin Ke hadn't called at all. Ban Ke sorted out his emotions and shook his head. No need, teacher. I'm already prepared. No need to call me teacher, Qin Zhao said. You can call me whatever you want, Qin Zhao said. We know each other. There's no need to avoid it. Ban Ku was touched. Stephen said with a smile. Vincent was recommended by Chen. Although he's not a professional, he has a good eye. You can see it from Vincent's performance. So we trust Chen's judgment. The audition staff were in an uproar. Of course, they knew Vincent. A lucky taxi driver became famous overnight because he starred in Stephen's movie. Many of the people present had actually set Vincent as their development goal. Now that they heard that Chen Zhao had recommended and recruited Vincent, many people looked at Chen Zhao differently. All right, tell me your identity and the role you're auditioning for. I'm a student at the University of Southern California's film school. I'm a senior this year, and I've already taken on a few small roles. This time, I'm competing for the role of the villain, the hacker. Okay, start your performance. After that, Ban Ku began his performance. It couldn't be said to be outstanding, but it was quite stable. It was considered to be average, and because he was trained in acting, his lines were very good. In addition, his appearance was very compatible with the character. Chen Zhao, Stephen, and Rasfa started discussing in low voices. Stephen, if he can't do it, you don't have to take care of my feelings. You're still in charge of this audition. Rasfa and I are just here for fun. He's very good, and his performance is above the passing mark. He can sign the role, Stephen said. Also, since he's been approved by Chin, there's no need to hesitate. The role is his. Kid, do you have a manager? No. You need to find a management company and have them arrange a manager for you. It can save you a lot of trouble, especially after you act in my movie. This is my advice to you. My studio's legal department will discuss the contract with you. You can go now. The crowd was in an uproar again. Ban Ku's role wasn't number 1 or number 2, but it was very eye-catching. There were many special scenes. After all, a hacker in a movie would usually leave a deep impression. Moreover, this role was a hacker in Stephen's movie. This was a very valuable character, which caused many people to reveal looks of envy and jealousy, especially the actors who were playing the same role as Ban Ku. Following that, a few character actors began to perform on stage one after another. However, apart from Ban Ku, only one actor had successfully gotten a role. Now, all actors playing number 1 Asian male, please step forward, Stephen said. More than 10 people stood up. They were all actors from China, Japan, and Korea. Zhou Xiaonan was even more nervous than Wang He, Zhang Mao, and Li Qingyang. The main show was coming. She didn't have much hope for this role at first. But at this moment, she began to worry about her personal gains and losses, regret and hope at the same time. Chin, what do you think at first glance? That, they're not suitable. Chen Zhao wasn't a professional. He'd just eliminated a few based on his first instinct. Among them were Zhou Xiaonan's artists, Li Qingyang and Zhang Mao. Zhou Xiaonan was in despair. Chen Zhao's revenge had indeed come. Why? Stephen asked. That actor looks a bit childish, Chen Zhao said, pointing at Zhang Mao. Then he pointed at the others. The others are too mature. Some actors were born with a mature face. They looked like this when they were 20, and they still looked like this when they were 40. It wasn't that being mature wasn't good, but different roles had different roles. Okay, Stephen said. The rest of you, introduce yourselves and then start acting out the script in your hands. Wang He took a deep breath. He didn't feel so nervous anymore. He didn't think he could be chosen, because the person sitting there was Chen Zhao. Therefore, he was extremely relaxed and waited for his name to be called. Then he'd draw a perfect ending to this audition. Soon after, Wang He went on stage and began his performance. From start to finish, the 3 examiners didn't say the result. When the last actor finished his performance, the 3 of them gathered together again and began to discuss. Chin, who do you think is suitable? I think one of the Japanese actors is very nervous. There's also another Korean actor. Did he forget his lines? As for the Chinese actor, Wang He, I don't know if he's good or not, but I feel comfortable. Chapter 976. Everyone had their own preferences. When 2 people of similar skill stood before him and he had to choose, He would definitely choose the one he was more familiar with or the one he had a better relationship with. Perhaps they had closer interests or came from the same hometown. All of these would affect the outcome. Even Stephen was no exception. It was inevitable that he would have such tendencies. Stephen and Raspa both looked at Qin Zhao. Then this Chinese actor? Stephen asked, "Do you think he's suitable?" "From his performance just now, I think he's pretty good," Stephen said, "Also, this is a commercial film, not an artistic film, so the acting skills just need to be passable. Also, some independent film actors always have too many ideas that they want to express in the film. This kind of actor is difficult to communicate with, so I prefer an actor that I can control." "Since you think he's suitable, then let's do it," Qin Zhao said. "Okay, let's do it." "Try to keep the pay low," Qin Zhao said. As one of the investors, the lower the pay, the lower his investment. All the actors looked at the three nervously. In the end, Stephen picked up the microphone and stood up. "Everyone, we've come to a conclusion. Chinese actor Wang He, please stay. Also, your manager should stay too. Thank you for your cooperation. Thank you." With that, Stephen, Qin Zhao, and Raspa turned and left. Some actors who didn't get the role were obviously unhappy or wanted to argue with Stephen. This was a very common thing on any set or audition studio. Some actors were too arrogant and felt that everyone else was trash apart from themselves. But the security guards quickly cleared the place. Many people kept staring at Wang He. Their eyes filled with even crazier jealousy than Ban Ke's. Even Li Qingyang and Zhang Mao, who were his partners, were no exception. In fact, even Zhou Xiaonan felt that Wang He might be the least likely to get a role out of her three actors. Because Wang He's acting skills were obvious, he'd always been criticized by his anti-fans in China for being exaggerated or expressionless. On the other hand, Li Qingyang and Zhang Mao both had their own outstanding acting skills. Wang He's only advantage was his popularity, but this was Hollywood. Wang He's popularity might not be useless, but it would at least be less effective. But now, Wang He had actually obtained the character and defeated so many competitors. "Mr. Wang, please follow me. Also, is your manager here?" A staff member who was responsible for leading the way came up to Wang He. Wang He turned to look at Zhou Xiaonan. Zhou Xiaonan quickly said, I am his agent." "In that case, please follow me." Zhou Xiaonan left Li Qingyang and Zhang Mao behind and led Wang He to follow behind the staff. After knocking on Stephen's office door, Wang He and Zhou Xiaonan entered the room. The first thing she saw was Chen Zhao with his legs crossed and Guyu lying on the sofa. On the other hand, Stephen was sitting at his desk. Raspu was holding a glass of red wine and sipping it carefully. "Mr. Stephen, Mr. Raspa, and Mr. Chen, nice to meet you." Zhou Xiaonan led Wang He to greet them. "Hello. We have now roughly confirmed that Mr. Wang will be the male lead of our movie, so we would like to talk about the issue of remuneration. This movie is not a super production. The budget is less than $80 million, so we cannot give Mr. Wang a high remuneration. We need to consider many issues such as risks." "I understand," Zhou Xiaonan immediately said. "Our company is willing to invest in Mr. Stephen's new movie." Everyone rolled their eyes. "Who wants your investment?" The last thing Stephen lacked was investment. "I'm sorry, but this movie is between the three of us. We do not accept other investments." Zhou Xiaonan was secretly shocked. Hollywood was the most averse to external investments. Even the financial giants on Wall Street coveted Hollywood's profits, but they could not get close to it. However, Chen Ke's cousin could actually invest his own money in a Hollywood movie. Zhou Xiaonan was annoyed at her rashness a few days ago. Although this guy was not famous, he was probably a big shot in Hollywood. If she had known earlier, she would have tried to build a good relationship with him. "Wang, he can participate for free, but I hope that you can give him some face when you announce it." "We can announce that Mr. Wang's remuneration is $5 million. Zhou Xiaonan smiled. She was very satisfied with this. It seemed like Wang He was working for free, but when the movie was released and the box office was a hit, Wang He's remuneration would be many times higher. Also, this role has some high-intensity action scenes, so I hope Mr. Wang can stay in America for relevant training. Of course, I'll arrange the training for him. No, I mean let him be responsible. Stephen pointed at Chen Zhao. Fuck, Stephen, you're giving me trouble again. You just need to give him some pointers. No, I don't want trouble. Fei Lai is about to give birth. I have to stay home with her. Fuck, Fei Lai is not even 5 months old. Can't you find a better excuse? How about I introduce you to a friend of mine? Her fighting skills are definitely top-notch. She was the one who taught me how to fight back then. Oh, she taught you how to fight? Yes, Chen Zhao said. She's a former Marine Corps instructor. She can be a movement coach. Wang He's thoughts were completely different from Zhou Xiaonan's. He thought that Chen Zhao was scary. He even knew a Marine Corps instructor. On the other hand, Zhou Xiaonan thought that Chen Zhao had a wide network. Sure, since you think it's okay, you can find a movement coach. Anyway, you can't run away when you lose money. I won't lose money. Mr. Wang, when can you sign the contract? Stephen asked. Anytime. Then come to my studio early tomorrow. This is my name card. Also, please leave your contact information so that Mr. Wang can have professional training. If there's nothing else, we'll go back and prepare. Zhou Xiaonan left with Wang He. But after leaving the set, Zhou Xiaonan and Wang He stood at the entrance. Sister Nan, aren't we going back to the hotel? Chapter 977. A while later, Chen Zhao came out. Zhou Xiaonan immediately walked up with Wang He. Wang He was extremely fearful of Chen Zhao. It didn't matter if he was related to Stephen or not. Fighting Chen Zhao head-on in Los Angeles was suicide. Mr. Chin, I'm sorry about last time. Oh, Chen Zhao glanced at the two. I have something to do. Bye. Mr. Chin, if you come back in the future, you can call me. Your schedule. Stop. I don't need anyone to take care of me. Chen Zhao interrupted Zhou Xiaonan. Mr. Chen, wait. Wang He still needs your care in the future. Why do I feel like you're entrusting him to me? Chen Zhao glanced at Wang He. Don't worry, I won't die. Stephen doesn't have any major problems apart from his bad temper. As long as you don't talk back to him on set, no one will bully you. I still have something to do. Bye. Chen Zhao felt that Zhou Xiaonan was very insensible. If she wanted to build a relationship with him, she should at least give him some benefits. It was just empty words and a promise that he didn't know when he could fulfill. Who would want such a promise? It was more practical to just give him a check. Zhou Xiaonan watched Chen Zhao leave with a helpless expression. She felt that Chen Zhao definitely still remembered what happened last time. Sister Nan, we just need to be ourselves, Wang He said innocently. We don't need to rely on connections. Zhou Xiaonan glanced at Wang He. If she didn't need to save him some face now that he had climbed up the ladder, she really wanted to kick him. Whether it was in the country or abroad, networking was crucial. Zhou Xiaonan thought for a moment. She still needed Chen Ku to do this. After all, they were cousins. It would be much easier to talk as a family. Hey, Aku. Zhou Xiaonan called Chen Ku with a shy face. Sister Nan, what's up? Aku, it's all thanks to Mr. Chin that Wang He has gotten the male lead role in Mr. Stephen's new movie. Huh? You know who he is? I don't know the details, but Mr. Chen was one of the main judges at the audition today. He also approved Wang He. Zhou Xiaonan could see clearly from the audition that Chen Zhao clearly favored Wang He. That was why Stephen and Raspa chose Wang He. Otherwise, compared to the other actors, Wang He did not stand out at all. It was almost impossible for Stephen to have chosen Wang He. Look, how should I thank your cousin? What is your cousin like? Zhou Xiaonan thought that men only liked women and money. If she could befriend Chen Zhao, she could even give him money. He and his girlfriend have a very good relationship, so you don't have to waste your time. Besides, he also knows several A-list Hollywood actresses and a lot of small stars. If he needs a woman, I'm sure he only needs to lift his finger and a group of Hollywood actresses will throw themselves at him. As for giving money, I don't think Sister Nan is richer than him. Last time, my aunt wanted to transfer her company's shares to my cousin's daughter, but my cousin directly refused. That's worth more than $1 billion US. Sister Nan, if you can take out more money than that, you can give it a try. If not, then forget it. Zhou Xiaonan sucked in a breath of cold air. $1 billion? It seemed that this man was richer than she had imagined. However, this also made this man very stubborn. It would be much more difficult to build a relationship with him. What does your cousin actually do? I don't know, Chen Ku answered. Zhou Xiaonan felt that Chen Ku did not want to tell her. Ah, Ku, it was my fault last time. Don't take it to heart. Sister Nan, what happened last time? Chen Ku was also very sensitive. Zhou Xiaonan did not continue asking. The most important thing now was to mend their relationship. Although Chen Ku said that she did not mind, who knew if it had left a knot in her heart? Now, Chen Ku was already powerful and had a big backer like her cousin. In the future, even if she could not survive in China, she could still do well in Hollywood. Moreover, if she could build a relationship with Chen Zhao, in the future, her company might be able to enter Hollywood continuously. By then, her company would definitely rise in China. Although her company had a certain foundation in the country, compared to companies like Huashi Entertainment, it was still a lot weaker. If she could find a path in Hollywood, it would be a chance to rise. Dad, what happened to you in L.A.? Li Changyu's daughter, Li Zheng'er, looked at Li Changyu, who was curled up on the bed. She had heard that her father had gotten into trouble in America, so she had rushed to L.A. anxiously. She had heard from the police and the hospital that her father seemed to have been tortured. Zhang, let's go back. I don't want to stay here anymore. Li Changyu had not recovered in the past few days. The impact of what happened that day was too great. He had never seen such a lawless person. He killed people like cutting grass. Even in the country, most of the gangsters he came into contact with were only involved in the underworld. But in America, that person was simply a local tyrant. No, we can't go back like this without bringing the real culprit to justice. Zhang, this is overseas, not in China, Li Changyu said, his face full of panic. We can't beat them here. Even if we're overseas, we have to abide by the law. Zhang, this can't be solved with the law. That person is extremely powerful here. Let's go back. Grandpa can't help even if he's here? Li Changyu curled up in bed. His father-in-law was also involved in the underworld abroad. However, that person had already killed a gang leader in front of him. He did not want to drag his father-in-law into this. That group of people was obviously crueler and more lawless than the gangs. Whether it was in China or abroad, the gangs were actually very restricted. Fighting and using their connections could more or less suppress the matter. However, once someone died, it was not something that could be settled by using connections. But that person had killed so many people without any scruples. He was probably not someone that his father-in-law could protect. Li Changyu only wanted to go back to China and stay away from the city and this country. He never wanted to come here again in his life. Li Zheng'er did not understand what kind of person his father had met to scare him like this. However, Li Zheng'er felt that he had to seek justice for his father. Chapter 978. Gaia swam around the artificial lake while Chen Zhao stood by the lake with his arms crossed. After a while, Gaia swam to the shore. While wiping herself, she approached Chen Zhao. Gaia, I'll introduce you to a job. Are you interested? What job? Acting as the movement director for Steven's movie, Chen Zhao said. If you're interested, you can ask Steven for a role too. What's the pay? $200,000 for about 3 months. Gaia had over 20 million now. 200,000 might not be enough. Chen Zhao added, if you accept, I can give your gym a 3 to 5 second shot in Steven's movie. This was like advertising for Gaia's gym. She wouldn't be paid directly, but the shot was worth more than $1 million. Even if a big brand sponsor wanted to place an advertisement in Steven's movie, it would cost at least $10 million for 10 seconds. One could imagine how valuable the 3 to 5 seconds was. Sure, Gaia nodded. The gym was her main business, even though it might only be worth a few $100,000. However, if she could manage her gym brand, then it would definitely have a lot of potential value. Usually, gyms were hard to manage. On one hand, it was limited in scale. On the other hand, it was hard for the owner to invest more in promotion. Putting the gym brand in a movie was out of the question. However, if the gym brand became bigger, it could be worth tens of millions of dollars. In the movie market, the value of advertisement placement was very complicated. Chen Zhao felt that since it was a good opportunity, why not benefit his own people? Other than the movement director, help me train the main actor too, Chen Zhao said. He's playing my role after all. I don't want it to be just for show. How do you want me to train? As long as no one dies, do whatever you want. Oh, and don't affect the filming. I don't want him to be in bed when the movie starts. Sure. President, let me be a guest character too. It's Mr. Stevens' movie. Just showing my face is good enough. It was easy to play a small role. Anyway, this movie needed a lot of small roles. Although Stevens' movie was very popular, even a cameo was very popular. Chen Zhao and Gaia chatted as they walked. Gaia changed her clothes and put on the boxing gloves. Someone come here. I want to practice boxing. Soon, a man with a swollen face and a bloody nose came over. He was wearing a thick boxing suit and a thick plate. Gaia trained his fists on this person. Every time Gaia punched, this person would retreat a few steps. He was the gangster who was captured last time. They had been living here for a few days. It wasn't that they hadn't thought of escaping, but they were all wearing collars around their necks. Escaping would mean death. They were now equivalent to the miscellaneous staff of the association. They were responsible for cleaning the association on a daily basis and doing miscellaneous chores. Of course, these were all ordinary jobs. The scariest part was giving Adam the sandbag. Even if they were wearing protective gear that was several times stronger than normal headgear and arm guards, they would still be able to survive. However, in front of Gaia, it was no different from running naked. Of course, this was the result of Gaia restraining himself. Every time he sparred with Gaia, he would let them rest for at least 3 days. Gaia, his arm is broken, Chen Zhao said. Oh, forget it. Go and rest. Only then did Gaia stop. Henry held his arm, pain written all over his face. He didn't know when this hellish life would end. Henry returned to the dorm. Every time he entered, he would feel a cold wind blow past him. Although the environment of the dormitory was not bad, Henry still felt uncomfortable. Bentley was staying in the same room as him. Bentley had already rested for 2 days. He had also been Gaia's sparring partner and had a broken rib. Henry was about to push open the door when it suddenly opened automatically. The creaking sound of the door made him feel a little creeped out. He felt that this dorm was somewhat unusual. Henry entered the room and suddenly saw a woman in white standing before Bentley's bed. The woman's face was extremely pale. "Who are you?" Henry asked. The woman raised her head to look at Henry, and a strange smile appeared on her face. "Who exactly are you?" Henry asked again. The woman tilted her head and tilted it more and more. Her face was completely upside down. "A ghost." Henry fell to the ground in fright. Then he scrambled out of the dorm. Just then, Aduz came in from the dorm. He also lived in the dorm, but he lived in a high-end suite on the 2nd floor. "Mr. Aduz, ghost, ghost, ghost!" Henry pulled Aduz back and cried out in fear. "Oh, where's the room?" In my room. That's a female ghost. She's standing before Bentley's bed." Henry's face was pale. He was really frightened. "Take me there," Aduz said. But that's a ghost." "I told you to take me there. Stop talking nonsense." Henry returned to his room with trepidation. It sits inside. Just then, the female ghost came out. She still looked horrifying, face down. Even Aduz was shocked. Henry was so frightened that he sat on the ground and shrank into a corner. Your ghost, Barley? Aduz asked. Henry's face was extremely pale. Mr. Aduz, you know her? No. Aduz said. What are you doing here? I'm following Lady Pamela's orders, Barley said. I'm here to check on the injured. She was also a member of the evil spirit group in Mapleville, but she didn't die from the plague. She'd died 20 years earlier. She was an old evil spirit. Don't walk around if you don't have anything to do, Aduz said. Also, turn your neck. Oh, Barley straightened her head. Then she floated away. Henry looked at Aduz in disbelief. Mr. Aduz, what's going on? Evil spirit. Didn't you see? This dorm is haunted. It's not just the dorm, Aduz said calmly. There are evil spirits everywhere. Then don't they kill people? Henry's mind was filled with scenes from horror movies. Chapter 979. The people here aren't afraid of evil spirits. Huh. There are plenty of evil spirits here. You should be more afraid of the president. Aduz chuckled. That Asian, no, the president. Is he scary? We're all his subordinates, including the evil spirits here, Aduz said calmly. You definitely don't want to see the president's scariest side. Mr. Aduz, the president can control evil spirits. Not control, but restrict. How? Those who don't listen will all be destroyed by the president, Aduz said. Okay, it's time for dinner. Mr. Aduz, I'll go to the restaurant with you. The restaurant in the headquarters was decorated very luxuriously. Chun Zhao had been wondering if he should hire a chef. However, it just so happened that 2 of the captives knew how to cook, and they were quite good at it. Mr. Aduz, let's sit here. Henry had just placed the dishes on a table when a terrifying black shadow appeared. It was an evil spirit with only a face. It roared angrily, "Fuck off! This is my territory!" Henry fell to the ground in fear again. Sit here, Aduz said. It's empty. Henry hurriedly ran to Aduz's side. Looking at the empty restaurant, he asked in horror, Mr. Aduz, are all the evil spirits here? No, only about 20. Henry shuddered. There were more than 50 seats in the restaurant. Did that mean that half of the seats were occupied by evil spirits? Harry secretly looked around the restaurant. Other than the black human face in that place, there were no other evil spirits. Henry really wanted to know what this place was. Just then, a cloud of black smoke floated in from outside the restaurant. It floated toward the black-faced evil spirit's position. Adab, this is my seat. Fuck off. Is it yours just because you say so? Yes. Do you have a problem with that? Of course. You're asking for it. You're asking for it. The 2 evil spirits immediately started fighting. Henry shuddered. The 2 clouds of black smoke were clearly separated, but they were also entangled. Aren't you going to stop them? Why should I? At this time, Henry noticed that evil spirits appeared on the empty seats around him. Some evil spirits could be recognized at a glance, while others looked exactly the same as humans. When these evil spirits saw the 2 entangled evil spirits, they all surrounded them and cheered. Cough, cough. Henry saw Qin Zhao and Gaia walk in. In an instant, the chaos in the restaurant stopped. All the evil spirits returned to their original positions in an instant. The 2 evil spirits that were fighting each other stopped and put their arms around each other's shoulders as if nothing had happened. Henry's eyes popped out of their sockets. Chun Zhao and Gaia went to the dining area and took 2 sets of food. They sat in the seat that Henry had been kicked out of. When the 2 evil spirits saw Chun Zhao and Gaia sit beside them, they both ran away. The food of the restaurant's chef is not bad. We can consider recruiting him as one of our members in the future. It does taste good. Gaia nodded. They didn't charge for this restaurant. It was a buffet, and they could eat as much as they wanted. After Chun Zhao and Gaia came in, Henry kept his head down. Are these evil spirits so afraid of the guild leader? He's like a demon king here. Aduz, I heard you saying bad things about me. Chen Zhao's voice came from the distance. Aduz smiled awkwardly. Aren't you going back for dinner tonight? Gaia asked. Feilai's been getting more and more picky lately, so I'll eat outside first. Pregnant women are all like that. As Feilai's stomach grew bigger, the baby inside her gradually took shape. So her taste increased greatly. At the same time, she started to get sick of eating. She definitely wouldn't touch things in the past, but now she was touching them. Chen Zhao couldn't show his disdain at home, so he could only eat outside before going back. After dinner, Aduz whispered, I'll take you to Ghost's Nest. What's Ghost's Nest? It's where the evil spirits live. It's the cave in the back mountain. Don't go there for now, Gaia reminded. A few evil spirits have entered the spiritual transformation stage. They're rather violent. What's the spiritual transformation stage? Harry asked. It's the growth stage of a spirit. It's like a child entering the rebellious stage. Usually, after staying in the human world for a long time, evil spirits will either dissipate or grow stronger. During this stage, evil spirits will become very violent and dangerous. Gaia, are you full? Yes, Gaia said, standing up. Come with me. I'll show you something. What is it? The two arrived outside the headquarters. Chen Zhao took out the Tower of Trials again. This thing again? Gaia asked. You're not going to destroy our new headquarters again, are you? Under Chen Zhao's incantation, the Tower of Trials started growing. In the end, it became a 100-meter-tall tower. Wear this ring. Chen Zhao handed a ring to Gaia. And then, this is a Tower of Trials with 18 floors. It's used for actual combat and strength evaluation, Chen Zhao said. Each floor represents a level of strength. Oh, can I go in? Yes, as long as you wear the ring. Chen Zhao nodded. This ring can let you go in and out of the Tower of Trials. At the same time, you won't be killed by the monsters inside. Then I'll go in and try. Gaia couldn't wait anymore. Take your sword first, Chen Zhao said. Gaia's sword had been damaged when he'd destroyed the parent. However, he'd ordered a new one later on. After taking the sword, Gaia followed Chen Zhao into the Tower of Trials. The next moment, the two found themselves on a grassy plain. This is... Gaia's eyes were filled with astonishment. This spell was beyond her understanding. Chen Zhao was surprised, but he maintained his composure. He could roughly guess that each floor of the Tower of Trials was a place similar to a mirror space. According to Chen Zhao's knowledge, even demons like Acker Byler could create such a large mirror space. Samuel had also helped him expand the size of his space ring by tens of thousands of times. A mirror space created by a demon king was definitely unimaginable. Just then, a strange cry sounded in the distance. A swarm of black insects was creeping over from the horizon. Chapter 980. They were all like beetles, but they didn't move as fast as beetles. The giant beetles were extremely fast. With horns on their heads, they charged at Chen Zhao and Gaia. Get ready to fight. Gaia swung her sword and charged at the swarm. The big sword swept across, and the three big insects were split into two. However, Gaia was also forced back a step. Chen Zhao was also fighting with his fists. At the same time, Chen Zhao was the type of person who would hit back in return. There were simply too many giant beetles. Therefore, he couldn't avoid it. He could only use this method of exchanging injury for injury. Thankfully, the giant beetles' attacks didn't do much damage to them. Once the giant beetles were killed, they would turn into black light and disappear. Chin, how long are we going to kill them? The battle had gone on for an hour. Gaia was already very tired. However, Chen Zhao was still full of energy. This kind of battle couldn't tire him. I don't know. The beetles were truly endless. Their numbers were shocking. The entire mountain was covered in beetles. Suddenly, Gaia screamed. Her arm was hit by the beetle's charging horn. Her sword fell to the ground, and she was knocked to the ground. Chen Zhao was about to save Gaia when a beetle hit Gaia's head. Just then, Gaia's body also turned into a black light. When Gaia opened her eyes again, she found herself outside the Tower of Trials. First level, F+. A voice suddenly appeared in Gaia's mind. Gaia was stunned. She quickly understood that it was to give her points for the battle just now. However, Qin Zhao hadn't come out yet. She didn't know what his score was. She just didn't know how to get to the second level. Qin Zhao killed 100 giant beetles. Suddenly the beetles retreated. A twisted monster ran over from the distance and appeared before Qin Zhao. This twisting troll was the same as the one he encountered in the mirror dimension. Qin Zhao went up and punched. The twisted monster's head exploded instantly. 3 options suddenly appeared before Qin Zhao. Continue to the second level, or leave and save the progress. Fuck, it's the same as the online dungeon. Qin Zhao chose the second level and continued upward. The second layer was a muddy swamp, and the sky was dark without any sunlight. Rumbling sounds came from the distance, as if thousands of horses were charging over. Soon, countless twisted monsters appeared before Qin Zhao. He continued fighting, but the monsters were clearly much more difficult than the giant beetles on the first level. To speed up the killing, Qin Zhao had to take out his bronze sword. After fighting for more than 2 hours, they finally killed 100 giant twisted monsters. The monsters also started retreating. Then a monster that could spit fire appeared. After killing the monster, Qin Zhao received a notification that he could enter the third level or leave. Qin Zhao chose to leave and save. At the same time, he received a notification that the first level was E+, and the second level was E+. Qin Zhao, Gaia immediately said. Qin Zhao, you need to kill 100 monsters on each floor, and a monster from the previous floor will appear. Killing this monster will allow you to enter the next floor or save and leave. Just now, I only needed a few more to pass the first floor's trial, Gaia said, a little disappointed. However, it also piqued her interest. Just then, West walked over. President, you took out this weapon again. Here, wear this ring, Qin Zhao said with a smile. Oh, what's this ring for? Then press the ring on the stone door. Whoosh! West suddenly found himself in an unfamiliar environment. Immediately, a swarm of giant locusts pounced at him. Ah! West covered his head. He was instantly killed. The next moment, West walked out of the Tower of Trials. Fuck! How did you come out so fast? Qin Zhao and Gaia were both in disbelief. That was too fast. He'd only been in for less than 30 seconds. President, what's going on? It's so scary. It's so scary inside. Is that an illusion? Qin Zhao covered his forehead. You went to the Tower of Trials, Gaia said. You didn't kill a single beetle. I didn't see any beetles. I saw a swarm of locusts flying everywhere. Qin, how come we're different from the monsters West encountered? My friend made it for me. I don't know the details, Qin Zhao said. Maybe it's different for 1 person and 2 people. Let's go in and try. After I came out, I tried. I couldn't go in immediately. There's probably a time limit. West, go get everyone out here. Everyone ran to the Tower of Trials. Looking at the tower, they were all in disbelief. Put on the rings and go in. Qin Zhao had Giselle, Patya, and Jalanash go in. In less than a minute, the 3 came out. They also had frightened expressions on their faces. It was obvious that they had also died once. President, that's scary. What happened? What's your rating? No rating. What did you see? A swarm of giant scorpions, Giselle said. Qin Zhao gave the rings to Jalig, Moore, Padalu, and Engelit. 4 of you go in. Another 4 people came out in less than a minute. What did you see this time? Giant centipedes. Seems like it. With each person, the monster's strength increases by 1 level. Chun Zhao and Gaia guessed the result. President, I got an F dash, Moore said. Oh, how many monsters did you kill? 1, Moore said. Klaus, do you want to go in and see? Chun Zhao looked at Klaus and the others. They weren't spiritualists, but since they'd joined the supernatural organization, they might come into contact with supernatural things. Sure. Chen Zhao gave them the rings again. 5 of you go in first. Tell us what monsters you saw when you come out. Then the 5 went in and came out. Everyone's face was filled with excitement and fear. We saw a giant hornet. Then Chen Zhao looked at Pan, Hallease, and Eric. You guys go in too. They came out not long after, but they were all battle type, so they all got ratings, even though they were all F dash. Chapter 981. Aduz came out, excitement written all over his face. President, I got my score too. I killed a locust. F dash. I can't wait to go in again and change my score. Gaia felt that it was a complete humiliation for him to get the same score as them. President, who made this Tower of Trials. It's so magical. It's unbelievable. My friend, Qin Zhao said calmly. Your friend must be very powerful in magic, right? More powerful than me, Qin Zhao said. Everyone gasped. More powerful than Qin Zhao? In their eyes, Qin Zhao was already unbelievably powerful. How powerful would someone be if they were stronger than Qin Zhao? From now on, the Tower of Trials will be placed here. You'll be judged every month. Your strength will represent the reward. Brother Wang, you have to take care of me in the future. Zhang Mao felt that it was unfair, but Wang he had succeeded, after all, so he had to suck up to him. The country was already in an uproar. Some praised him, but there were also doubters. Some felt that Wang He's acting skills weren't good enough for Stephen's new movie. They felt that Wang He might become Stephen's Waterloo. Of course, Wang He's fans were very excited. It was undeniable that Wang He's fame and influence in the country were rising rapidly. Just then the doorbell rang. Wang He opened the door and saw Chen Zhao standing outside. There was a foreign woman beside him. This foreign woman's head was really big. Wait, this woman was at Marina's restaurant too. Mr. Wang, this is the movie's action director. She'll also be your military training instructor. Wang He's forehead was covered in cold sweat. Gaia stepped forward. Hi, I'm Gaia. Hi, I'm Wang He. The moment Wang He shook Gaia's hand, he felt intense pain. He felt like his hand was going to be crushed. Ah, my hand, my hand. You're so weak. Gaia let go of Wang He's hand. Please be prepared, not just physically, but also mentally. Wang He broke out in a cold sweat. Qin Zhao patted his shoulder. Don't die. You're the male lead after all. Wang He was so scared that his legs had turned to jelly. However, facing Chen Zhao, he did not dare to speak. Qin, the spring semester has started. Don't you want to come to school? Also, get to know your new student. Wright called Qin Zhao. Are there any new students in school? Qin Zhao asked, confused. The enrollment period for American universities was the same as that in China. They all started in the fall, right? Some students are suspended for half a year or a year, Wright said. Qin Zhao remembered that some university students in America would choose to postpone their enrollment after graduating from high school. They might take a break from school for half a year or a year to travel and have fun before considering enrolling. This kind of situation was very common among high school graduates. Any students want to learn Chinese medicine? Qin Zhao asked. Although Chinese medicine has gradually been accepted by Western society, the number of people learning Chinese medicine is still small. In order to learn Chinese medicine, some students went to China to study abroad. After all, compared to foreign universities, Chinese medical schools have more specialized Chinese medicine subjects and research. You have to take 4 students, Wright said. 1 is an exchange student. Okay, give me their contact numbers. Chen Zhao arrived at UCLA. Because it was the new semester, the school was very busy. The parking lot was already full. Chen Zhao looked around and parked the car in a temporary spot again. If he did not park here, the nearest parking lot would be 3 kilometers away. After getting out of the car, Chen Zhao walked into the school. "Hello, student," a voice sounded from behind him. Chen Zhao turned around and saw a pretty girl. Chen Zhao was quite happy to be mistaken for a student. At least it meant that he looked young. "How can I help you? Did you sign up for a club?" "No. Are you interested in the boxing club?" Chen Zhao rolled his eyes. "Not interested." "Okay." Chen Zhao did not expect the girl to be from the boxing club. He had never seen her before. Was she new? But was the boxing club that short of people? Why was it recruiting people everywhere? Boxing had always been a popular sport in America, so there were always quite a few people in the boxing club. "Hi, Chen." Chen Zhao had only taken a few steps when he saw Evely walk over from the distance. "Evely, why are you here? You sound like I shouldn't be here." Evely rolled her eyes. "I'm still a student here, and I haven't graduated yet." "Oh," Chen Zhao answered. His brain hadn't figured it out yet. Chen Zhao thought that Evely was a full-time athlete now. He had completely forgotten that she was a student. "Also, I'm your student, one of them." "What?" Chen Zhao's eyes widened. He looked at Evely in shock. "You want to learn Chinese medicine? Is it weird?" "Of course it's weird. Why do you want to learn Chinese medicine? You're a swimmer now, a legend in the swimming world." If Phelps was a legend in the swimming world, then Evely was a myth. She was the holder of many world records. After the World Championship All-Star Invitational, she had also participated in other events. She was now the world champion in all the short and medium distance freestyle events. She held the world records for the 100m, 200m, 400m, and 800m events. She was also the world record holder for the 800m event as a woman. The World Championship only starts in August. Before that, it's boring training. I don't want to waste time on training, especially the kind that's very inefficient. You're close to your limit now. I'm afraid that normal training won't help you improve. Evely trusted Chen Zhao's judgment. In the past few matches, her results had been maintained at the previous record. She hadn't improved at all. "When will you train me again?" "If I have time." "Do you know the other 3 Chinese medicine students?" Chen Zhao asked. "Who else?" Evely did not know either. "Let's go see our classroom." Every subject had its own classroom, even if there were only 4 students. Chapter 982. Chen Zhao sat on the desk, while Evely sat on the chair beside him. The two chatted. "Ah!" A scream came from the door. A girl stood there. The scream came from her. Chen Zhao and Evely turned to look at the girl. The girl covered her mouth and pointed at Evely. Are you Evely?" "Ah, hello, Senior Evely. I'm... The girl tried to calm herself down. "I'm Maggie." "Hello." Chen Zhao flipped open the name list. "Maggie, right? Come in. You're your intern tutor for this semester. Have you learned Chinese medicine before?" "Hello, Professor. I'm Maggie." Maggie was an ordinary girl. "I've published 2 Chinese medicine theses before. I have some understanding of it." Chen Zhao nodded. It seemed that Maggie had some foundation. She wasn't a freshman. "You weren't originally a UCLA student, right?" "I transferred from Riverside," Maggie said. Then she looked at Evely. This made Chen Zhao suspect that Maggie had transferred because of Evely. However, this was normal. A star student like Evely would be very influential in the school. For example, UCLA's recruitment advertisement last year had Evely's name on the school's website. "Senior Evely, I was there for your match in Montreal last year. I really admire you." Evely really didn't know how to deal with such crazy fans. Maggie's eyes were full of stars when she looked at Evely. Just then the classroom door was pushed open and a boy walked in. Entering the classroom, he looked at the three people in the room and found a random seat to sit down. "Who are you?" Chen Zhao asked. "I'm Little Grove. I hope that I can have absolute freedom in the next semester. Also, I need A+ credits. I'll pay you enough. Buddy, can you give me 10 million a year?" Little Grove looked at Chen Zhao as if he was crazy. "You're crazy for money. Since you can't give me 10 million, you better get your feet off the desk." "Do you know who my dad is?" "I don't know." "My father is Drow Grove. I'm sure you've heard of him." "Never heard of it." "My father is a Hollywood superstar, Drow Grove. Haven't you heard of him?" "Is his dad famous?" Chen Zhao turned to Evely. "I was famous 20 years ago, but now," Evely said calmly. There were more people in the older generation who knew about him, but among the younger generation, he was probably not as famous as himself. "Oh, she's just a has-been star." "What are you talking about?" Lit Grove was obviously very sensitive to the word outdated. Even if it was just his father, he still felt that it was very harsh. "Put down your finger. It's rude to point at people like that. If your parents didn't teach you that, I don't mind teaching you manners on their behalf. Leet, you'd better not anger our teacher." Evely reminded. "Our professor beat up at least 20 UCSF students and sent them to the hospital." Maggie looked at Chen Zhao in surprise. Evely seemed to be very familiar with their professor. "Also, everyone in the boxing club listens to our professor. If you don't want to be targeted in school, you better behave." My dad is Drow Grove. I don't believe he dares to mess around in school. If I'm hurt in school, my dad's reputation will be ruined. A has-been star. Not many people care about him now, even if he's the former president. How much influence do you think a has-been star can have?" Chen Zhao rolled his eyes. Little Grove's face reddened. He gritted his teeth and stared at Chen Zhao. Just then there was a knock on the door. A girl with heavy makeup, high heels, and chewing gum leaned against the door. "Can I come in?" "Who are you?" "Raphael," the girl answered. Chen Zhao glanced at the name list. "Come in. I called the 4 of you here today to get to know each other. Also, although I'm your intern tutor, the 4 of you will be interns in the hospital most of the time. When I'm in a good mood, I might give you a few lessons. Of course, don't have too much hope for me. After all, being a university professor isn't my main job." "Chin, is this how you treat us?" Evely said, rolling her eyes. "It's not your first day knowing me. You should know my habits when you enrolled in the school." Then Chen Zhao looked at Little Grove. "Also, if you're not happy with me, you can come find me anytime. I'll be happy to play with you, no matter in the open or in the dark." Fire was about to shoot out of Little Grove's eyes. He stared at Chen Zhao. After Chen Zhao left the classroom, the 4 students started to get to know each other. "Evely, are you familiar with our professor?" Raphael asked. "We're familiar with each other," Evely said, "but his medical skills are the best." "Which hospital will we be interns at?" "Senior Evely, are you planning to be an intern too?" Maggie asked. Evely shook her head with a bitter smile. She could only attend a few lessons with Chen Zhao at most. As for being an intern, she was a medical student, but she was a professional athlete and a very famous one at that. If she went to some hospital as an intern, she would definitely bring a lot of trouble to the hospital. "Raphael, you're from a medical school too?" "I don't remember you. I'm a model. I spend most of my time running shows," Raphael said. "My grades were too low last year. If I can't raise them this year, I'll be kicked out. That's why I chose a Chinese medicine major with the least classes. Do you have a boyfriend?" Little Grove asked. The 3 girls in the classroom all glared at Little Grove. "I'm not interested," Little Grove said. "If Evely becomes my girlfriend, I might consider it," Little Grove said. "Maybe I should have asked Chen to break your arms and legs," Evely said. "Do you really think I'm scared of him?" Little Grove said in disdain. "You should be." Evely sneered. Evely sneered, then said to Maggie and Lapar, "Let's go out for dinner." "You're a big star. Are you sure you won't be followed by reporters?" Raphael chuckled. "I'm just an athlete, not a star." Chapter 983. As soon as Chen Zhao walked out of the building, a woman walked toward him. Chen Zhao recognized the woman at first glance. She was carrying a huge box and seemed to be struggling. "Hi, Willian." The woman was Willian, a biology professor from the San Diego branch, whom Chen Zhao had met on New Year's Eve when he was going through the mirror space on the road from Las Vegas to Los Angeles. "Mr. Chen, why are you here?" Willian pushed her glasses up. "All right, you're a professor from the LA branch. It's not strange to see you here. What are you carrying? Let me help you." Chen Zhao looked at Willian. The box was even bigger than her. It was difficult for her to walk. "How can I help you?" Chen Zhao had already taken Willian's box. It was probably more than 30 kilograms. "What's inside? So heavy?" Willian glanced at Chen Zhao. She was one of the few people who'd seen Chen Zhao's true face. Was this box that weighed more than 30 kilograms heavy to him? Wiping her sweat, Willian walked with Chen Zhao. "Willian, I haven't asked you why you're here." "I accepted Professor Forzel's invitation," Willian said. "I'm here as his assistant to do biology research." UCLA's biology department had a huge campus. Chen Zhao walked into the building. Then he entered a laboratory. Many students were conducting experiments and research. Some places were even sterile and dust-free in closed spaces. For example, the lab Willian brought Chen Zhao into had to be disinfected at the entrance. But as soon as he entered, he was stopped by a bearded man in a white coat. "Who are you? Why are you here?" the bearded man asked. "Professor Forzel," Willian said. "This is a professor from the medical school. He's helping me carry the box." Professor Forzel glanced at Chen Zhao. "I don't care who he is. Don't you know that you can't bring people here?" Willian looked troubled. She didn't think that Professor Forzel would be so heartless. "Willian, I'm leaving," Chen Zhao said. He didn't want to make things difficult for Willian. Perhaps there were indeed such rules in the lab. Coming in rashly would indeed cause trouble for others. After leaving the lab, Chen Zhao went straight to Wright's office. Wright's office felt like Chen Zhao's home. Wright was sunbathing in front of the French windows. Chen Zhao walked in without even knocking. "Wright, did you miss me?" Wright turned her head and glanced at him. "You're finally willing to come. You only came 3 times last semester." "I was busy last semester," Chen Zhao said helplessly. "How is it? Have you met with your students?" "You've given me quite a bit of trouble." Chen Zhao was very reluctant at first. However, Wright knew how to negotiate. First, she asked Chen Zhao to teach a class of more than 10 students. Chen Zhao rejected her as a matter of course. Then she suggested only bringing a few interns. Chen Zhao could not reject Wright continuously. When he came back to his senses, he realized that he had been tricked. Wright had never intended for him to lead a class. "By the way, the school will be organizing a spring outing soon. Are you coming?" "Teachers?" "No, it's for the students, but some teachers will also go. They're not kids anymore." "Why would they organize a spring outing? Sandro National Park just opened. The person in charge sent an invitation to our school." "Forget it." Chen Zhao shook his head. Chen Zhao was really not interested in this kind of group outing. He might as well stay at home with Feilai. Just then, the office door was pushed open again. Professor Forzel rushed in angrily. "Mr. Principal, I want to know why you rejected our biology lab's funding request. I think Camus' theory is not valid, so I don't think there's a need to continue the experimental research supporting Camus' theory." "No, Camus' theory is correct." Professor Forzel was like an enraged lion. His voice was filled with anger. "Then you've researched for 4 years and spent nearly $5 million. What did you find? Wright asked. No research is always smooth sailing. Camus theory needs more support, more research funds, and more equipment. If you can give me your absolute support, my research would have produced results a long time ago. This is not my fault, and it is not Camus theory that is wrong. I need some results, but you don't have any at all. How am I supposed to continue supporting your research? The school's funding doesn't come from nowhere. I can't endlessly support a research that's filled with uncertainty. Wright was determined. If she didn't support, then she didn't. Wright was a very practical person. If she thought a research project was a waste of time, she wouldn't continue supporting it. You'll regret it. I'll prove that I'm right. I'll prove Camus' theory is correct. Professor Fossil roared. Even if you don't support me, there will be people who will. Many companies are willing to spend money to support my research. Then you can find those companies to support you, Wright said nonchalantly. Don't regret it, Professor Fossil said angrily. Then he slammed the door and left. What's Camus' theory? Chen Zhao asked curiously. Professor Fossil once had a mentor called Camus. At an international biology conference, Camus presented his theory to the audience, but he was mocked by his peers. Camus then committed suicide in anger, and Fossil took over Camus' research, Wright said. Wright said, Camus' theory is to use drugs to stimulate the brain's neurons to increase the brain's intelligence. Sounds reliable, Qin Zhao said. You're not a biologist, so you don't understand the risks. Brain neurons are too complicated, and Fossil's research is too radical. He once asked the school to provide him with human corpses for research. How does the school provide corpses? Does our school have such a service? When people die, they donate their corpses to medical research institutions. Our school can also apply for it, Wright said. But our school can only apply for it from the medical school's laboratory. Laboratories outside the medical school are forbidden from using humans for experiments. Chapter 984. Has Professor Forzel always been this hot-tempered? William asked in a low voice, pulling a student aside. Sounds of smashing could be heard in Professor Forzel's office. No, Professor Forzel used to be a very gentle person, the student said. It seems that the lab's funding hasn't been approved recently, so Professor Forzel has had a few arguments with the school. Forzel was currently destroying everything he could. Just as he was about to smash his computer, he stopped. The things in the computer were too important. Just then, Forzel's phone rang. Professor Forzel, I heard that the school rejected your funding request. How about it? Do you want to consider my funding? I can give you more funding. The annual funding is 10 times what UCLA has given you in the past few years. I'll also give you the best equipment and even the best assistants. Forzel listened to the unfamiliar voice on the phone. He hesitated. Over the past few years, this person had been calling him. However, Forzel had always rejected him. This time, however, he was really shaken. What do I need to pay? Forzel asked. You don't need to pay anything. You just need to continue your research, the person said. Also, I can provide you with experimental subjects. Not just the dead, but also living people. Forzel's expression changed drastically. The person continued. You also know that any biological or medical experiment requires clinical trials in the end. You'll never get results if you keep experimenting with mice. Even using corpses is meaningless. You can only get the final data on living people and prove Camus theory. Just then, a fat man came into the lab and pushed open the door to Forzel's office. Nicholas, what are you doing here? Forzel looked at the fat man in front of him in an unfriendly tone. I've been informed by the school that your lab will be disbanded. The students who interned with you will also be assigned to other labs. No, you don't have the right to do that, Forzel shouted. I indeed don't have the right, but the principal does, Nicholas said. I think you need to prepare and file the experimental data. I'll bring some people to clean up the lab tomorrow. Nicholas did not want to talk nonsense with Foslier, so he directly stated his purpose of coming and left. Foss stared at Nicholas back, his eyes blazing with fury. "You will regret this." "Hello, Mr. Waltz, I'm Chin Zhao." Tim Waltz was surprised that Chen Zhao would call him first. "Hello, Mr. Chen. How can I help you?" "I have a few students who are going to do their internship, so I want them to become interns at Chantilly Hospital." "No problem. How many internship slots do you need?" Ever since Chen Zhao saved his son, Hoffman, his physical condition had improved greatly. Tim Waltz had always kept this in mind. However, he usually couldn't help Chen Zhao much. Now that Chen Zhao had taken the initiative to ask for a few internships, he obviously wouldn't reject. 2 or 3, Chen Zhao said. Chen Zhao had guessed that Evely wouldn't become an intern. It wasn't because Evely wasn't capable enough, but because of her special identity. As one of the most famous sports stars in America, the attention she received was like a 200-watt light bulb above her head. She would be watched wherever she went. Chen Zhao wasn't sure about Maggie, Lick Grove, and Lepore. "Okay, I'll arrange for 3 attending doctors to follow you." When Chen Zhao walked out of the school, he saw Sharon giving him a ticket. "Hi, dear Miss Sharon." Sharon could tell at first glance that the car was Chen Zhao's. Therefore, without any hesitation, he directly put up a ticket. "Don't call me so intimately. We're not that close. Let me see how many tickets you've given me since we met. Let me see how many times you violated the rules. Are you done eating? Do you want to eat together?" "No, I still have to work." Sharon rejected Chen Zhao's invitation mercilessly. "By the way, you have a nice figure. I hope I can see you running naked on the road again." Sharon had touched his sore spot. Chen Zhao's expression darkened immediately. "I hope you'll stay at the Ministry of Transportation forever." Chen Zhao opened the car door and was about to leave. Sharon's expression also darkened. To her, it was also an eternal pain. The two parted on bad terms. Chen Zhao walked a few streets, planning to buy some things at the supermarket. As soon as he parked in the parking lot, a car stopped behind him. 2 hoodlums got out of the car, both holding baseball bats. They seemed to be here to block Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao was now standing in the narrow gap of the car. When Chen Zhao walked over, one of the hoodlums swung the baseball bat at his shoulder. Chen Zhao reached out and grabbed the bat's head. Chen Zhao snatched the baseball bat and hit the hoodlum's shoulder lightly. Ah! The hoodlum was knocked to the ground. The other hoodlum wanted to help, but he was also knocked to the ground by Chen Zhao. "Who told you to come?" Chen Zhao asked. The 2 hooligans just kept howling and didn't say anything. Chen Zhao kicked the hoodlum in front of him. "Who told you to come?" "Don't mess around. Our boss is the Wild Boar King. If you dare to hit us again, he'll definitely take revenge for us." "Wild Boar King? What kind of idiot force gets this nickname?" Chen Zhao rolled his eyes and kicked the hoodlum again. The 2 hoodlums wanted to try harder, but Chen Zhao just kept hitting them. If they didn't tell the truth, Chen Zhao would hit them harder. We'll tell you, it's Lick Grove. He paid us $500 to beat you up." One of the hoodlums couldn't take it anymore and finally told the truth. Chen Zhao's face darkened. His student had paid hoodlums to beat him up? Chen Zhao took out his phone and called Tim Waltz again. "Mr. Waltz, I'll reduce the number of interns by 1. Also, do you still need security at the hospital's morgue?" Tim Waltz was stunned. Security at the morgue? What kind of request was that? "Mr. Chen, are you joking?" Chapter 985. What's wrong with you two? Morgri was playing with his pet, Victoria, in front of his house. Seeing his 2 subordinates with bruises all over their faces and bodies covered in wounds, Zhang Wuji was stunned. "Boss, you have to help us." The 2 ran to Morgri, sobbing. "You were beaten? In that case, I'll bring some people with me and get my revenge." "Boss, not only were we beaten by someone, but that person also insulted you. He said that your nickname is an idiot. But Morgre's response made the two speechless. Morgre's response was too calm. There was no anger at all. Morgre knew exactly how he got his nickname, Wild Boar King, because he had a super huge wild boar Victoria. Plus, he also thought that the nickname was stupid. But now, no one cared about his original name anymore. He couldn't change it, even if he wanted to. Boss, he said that he's going to kill and eat Victoria. Yeah, boss. That asterisk shoal said that there's no pet stupider than a wild boar in the world. Hearing this, Morgre was infuriated. Victoria was his most important partner. Back when he was on the run, he'd relied on Morgre to get through the toughest times. Where's that asterisk shoal? Who is he? Akla. He's a professor. Akla? Professor? Morgre frowned. A rich student from UCLA hired us. It's one of his teachers. He's from China. What's his name? Morgre asked. Chin. Fuck. Morgre lifted a foot and kicked the subordinate in front of him. Hey, Chin. Chin Zhao was surprised that Morgre would call him today. In the past 6 months, Morgre had only called him on Christmas and Thanksgiving. Was it because China's Lunar New Year was coming and he wanted to wish Chin Zhao well? Hi, Morgre. How are you? Chin, I heard that you were blocked by 2 hooligans yesterday. You know that too. Chen Zhao was surprised. They're my subordinates. Fuck, you're the Wild Boar King. This nickname popped into Chen Zhao's mind. Can you not mention this nickname? I hate this nickname the most. Your nickname is too stupid. Did your enemies give you this nickname? Forget it. Let's not talk about my nickname for now. My 2 subordinates are taking private jobs outside. I didn't ask them to go. I know what's going on. I didn't misunderstand. Do you need me to do anything? It's just a small matter. I don't need your help. Is Victoria okay? It's good, and it's very strong and very smart. Morgre truly felt Victoria's IQ. He even felt that Victoria could understand his words. The two reminisced for a few minutes. Chen Zhao had his life, and Morgre had Morgre's phone number. However, they both knew that if the other needed something, they would help each other. Little Grove was very pleased with himself. This was not the first time he had done something like this. In his career, he had threatened no less than 20 teachers. Even his private teachers had been beaten black and blue by the gangsters he'd hired. With a few hundred to a few $1,000s, he could achieve his goal. Before being attacked, the teachers were still very tough. But after being beaten up by the people he'd hired, they all behaved like cowards. Little Grove, we already taught that Chinese a lesson according to your request. When are you going to pay? Send me your account number. I'll transfer the money to you now. I have a shit account number. I'm still wanted by the police. I need cash. Fine, where are you? Little Grove said nonchalantly. I'll go over and give you the money. It was not the first time he'd found these 2 gangsters, so he did not think much of it. Then the gangsters gave him the address. Little Grove drove there, but when he arrived, he saw the 2 gangsters lying on the ground. He found 2 hooligans lying on the ground, bruised and bleeding all over their bodies. Gauss, Piolio, what's wrong? Little Grove hurried over to check on them. Just then, the car door opened and Chen Zhao alighted. Hi, Little Grove. What a coincidence. You're here too. When Little Grove saw Chen Zhao, his expression darkened. Why are you here? Chen Zhao's face was full of smiles. Tomorrow, all the major entertainment media in Hollywood will receive a piece of news. Lit Grove, the son of the famous movie star Drow Grove, hired an assassin to murder his university tutor. Little Grove's expression turned furious. You're slandering me? Chen Zhao walked to the 2 gangsters on the ground and kicked them. It's your turn. That's right. Little Grove hired us to kill you. You're slandering me. Yes, I'm slandering you. Smiling, Chen Zhao looked at Little Grove. But who knows? As long as the two of them testify, it's enough. You don't have direct evidence. I don't need direct evidence. You've transferred money to their bank accounts at least 5 times, and they've helped you beat up at least 5 teachers. I can find 5 of your former teachers and get them to testify in court. When the time comes, your father's reputation will be ruined, and you will spend more than 10 years in prison. I'll arrange for you to be locked up in a gay black cell. I think 10 years should be enough time for you to change your sexual orientation. I'm not going to kill you. You can't do this to me. Little Grove was completely flustered. Gauss, Piolio, you can't do this to me. I'm your friend. Gauss and Piolio covered their heads and didn't answer Lit Grove. Yes, they were good friends with Little Grove, but they didn't want to die. The consequences of offending the Wild Boar King were far more severe than offending Little Grove. To put it bluntly, Little Grove's family only had some money. They couldn't do anything to them, but the Wild Boar King was different. He was the boss of the biggest gang in LA. If they offended the Wild Boar King, they might be thrown into the sea to feed the sharks tomorrow. Gauss, Piolio, Little Grove said agitatedly. If you commit perjury, you'll go to prison too. Chapter 986. You can't do this. You're a teacher. How can you frame your own student? Ritter Grove stared at Chun Zhao, terrified. Of course I can do that, and I'm going to do it soon. Chun Zhao looked at Lit Grove with a smile. Don't do this. Ritter Grove was finally scared. He realized that the man before him was even crueler than him. He'd wanted to find someone to beat him up, but Chun Zhao wanted to destroy him. Chun Zhao's smile made him feel cruel and cold. I like obedient students. I'll listen to you, I'll listen to you. I won't go against you any more. Really? Really, really? Chun Zhao smiled. You'll listen to everything I tell you? I will, I promise. Ritter Grove nodded hurriedly. Remember your promise today. Chun Zhao patted Ritter Grove's shoulder. I'll remember. I've arranged an internship for you, Chun Zhao said. I accept, Ritter Grove said hurriedly. That's a good kid. Chun Zhao patted Ritter Grove's shoulder. In Ritter Grove's eyes, Chun Zhao was a complete demon. Let's go. We'll go to your internship now. Ritter Grove sat in Chun Zhao's car. Chun Zhao glanced at the 2 hoodlums. If I call you, turn yourself in and tell the police what I told you. Ritter Grove's face was pale. He was completely regretting it now. Why did he have to provoke Chun Zhao? When they arrived at Chantilly Hospital, Ritter Grove was somewhat surprised. He'd thought that Chun Zhao would arrange some hard job for him. It turned out to be Chantilly Hospital. It was the best private hospital in LA. Of course, the word private could be removed. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that it was the best hospital in LA. The best hospitals in America were all private hospitals. Medical students who wanted to intern would basically be assigned to public hospitals. Without some ability, it was very difficult to get into a private hospital for internship. To be able to enter a private hospital, one had to have such good grades that the person in charge of the hospital took the initiative to hire them. The internship period of such students was far shorter than that of ordinary students. There was another type of person who had a strong background and used connections to get an internship in a private hospital. Little Grove followed Chun Zhao to Dean Kahiri's office. Hi, Mr. Chin, you're here. Kahiri greeted him warmly. Dean Kahiri, Mr. Waltz has already told you, right? My student needs some internship work. Yes, I did. Kahiri nodded and glanced at Lit Grove behind Chun Zhao. He's one of my students, Lit Grove, Chun Zhao said. Is the contract ready? Yes, of course. Kahiri met Chun Zhao's gaze. He took out a contract and handed it to him. After you sign this contract, you'll be an intern here. Just as Lit Grove was about to read the contract, Chun Zhao yelled, Hurry up, don't waste my time. Lit Grove only saw that he was a follower of a doctor called Tereg. He didn't have time to read more of the contract. Mr. Dean, if he breaks any rules in the hospital, please inform me immediately. I'll make sure he receives the punishment he deserves. Of course, Mr. Chen. I'll help you take good care of this kid. Let him be on duty tonight. No, from now on he'll be on all the night shifts, Qin Zhao said. What? So it was a private hospital for him. Lit Grove didn't think much of it. He'd thought that it would be some difficult job. Wasn't it just the night shift? It wasn't difficult at all. Maybe he thought that the night shift would make him retreat. He'd really underestimated himself. Kathiri took out his phone and dialed a number. Tarag, there's an intern here. Come and take care of him. He'll be interning with you. Not long after. Lit Grove saw a gloomy man walk in. Tarag glanced at Lit Grove. Is it this kid? Yes, and he'll be in charge of the night shift. Kathiri handed Lit Grove's contract to Tarag. Tarag looked at Lit Grove in surprise. Kid, come with me. Hello, Dr. Tarag. I'm Lit Grove. Which department are we in charge of? Lit Grove took the initiative to greet Tarag. Which medical department did you study in school? I mainly studied surgery. Then why were you assigned to my department? Which department are we in? Lit Grove asked. Cadaveric department. Also, you're our security guard. This department was mainly responsible for confirming the patient's death certificate. For example, when a patient died, the doctor in the cadaveric department would confirm the death and issue a certificate. Then, the body would be sent to the morgue. As for security, they had to patrol the morgue every once in a while. What? Lit Grove was dumbfounded. Don't joke around. I'm not. Don't you know what you're here for? I quit, Lit Grove said angrily. I'm leaving. I won't accept this kind of job. He finally understood Qin Zhao's intention. Tarag was not surprised by Lit Grove's reaction at all. Fine. Tarag did not stop Lit Grove. Lit Grove returned to Kathiri's office, flustered and angry. Dean, I'm quitting. I'm quitting. Lit Grove stated his intentions directly. Sorry, my kid. You might not be able to quit, Kathiri said with a smile. You signed a contract. You must follow it. What contract? I'm an intern. I signed an internship contract. No, it's a labor contract. The hospital will pay you a year's salary in advance. If you quit during the contract, you'll have to pay a penalty. It'll be 100 times your salary. How much is my salary? Lit Grove's face was pale. Your salary should be relatively high in our hospital. It's $200,000 a year. This is fraud. This is fraud. Lit Grove roared. This penalty was clearly illogical. Kathiri shrugged nonchalantly. Chapter 987. With such a high penalty fee, there was clearly a trap. However, the stronger party would always have all sorts of explanations. For example, because Lit Grove needed money, he paid a year's salary in advance. In order to prevent Lit Grove from breaking the contract, he set the penalty fee at a high price. That explanation made sense too. The main thing was who was stronger. If Lit Grove was stronger, he could use the contract to sue the hospital for fraud. I'm going to sue the hospital. Lit Grove regretted it as soon as he said it. Qin Zhao still had something on him. If he had to face 2 lawsuits at the same time, he would definitely lose. Once Qin Zhao sued him for attempted murder, he would be in a very passive position. As the director of the hospital, Kathiri obviously knew better. If it wasn't for safety reasons, he wouldn't give such a contract. Kid, you should read the contract carefully next time, Kathiri said, smiling. Mr. Qin, please let me go. Please let me go. I won't dare to go against you any more. The sky was already dark. Lit Grove called Qin Zhao and begged him to let him go. Only if Qin Zhao let him go would he be able to free himself. Otherwise, he would be accompanied by corpses for the rest of the year. Be a security guard at the hospital or go to jail, Qin Zhao said. Choose. Let him go? How could he let him go so easily? Lit Grove begged a vengeful person to let him go. He was destined to get nothing. It seemed like Chen Zhao had given him two choices, but in reality, Lit Grove didn't have a choice. He could either be a security guard or go to jail. "Hey, new guy, come here. It's time for work." Lit Grove's face was pale. "I'll be here. I'll watch the place." "Okay. Remember, you have to patrol once an hour." "Why do I have to patrol? It's full of dead people." "Do you know about the Veil Act?" Lit Grove shook his head, indicating that he hadn't heard of it. "There was once a man named Will. He was sent to the morgue because he faked his death, but he came back to life in the morgue. However, because he did not receive effective treatment in time, he died in the morgue. The surveillance cameras recorded the whole process of his death. So the International Medical Organization later established an international convention that the morgue of a hospital must have personnel on duty, and they must patrol it on time." Lit Grove agreed verbally, but he thought that no one would know as long as he sat outside when he was on duty. He would not enter the morgue even if he was beaten to death. He did not want to see the dead, other than guarding the morgue. Lit Grove also had to register the dead that were sent from the hospital. It wasn't a good feeling. Little Grove felt like he would lose interest in meat. After midnight, Ritter Grove grew more and more uneasy. Just then, two people in protective suits with their faces covered came from outside. One of them walked up to Little Grove. "Where's the registration form?" Lit Grove glanced at them. "Who are you?" "Don't waste time," the other person said. "We don't have much time." The man in front of Lit Grove suddenly took out a stun gun and hit Lit Grove's body. "Ah!" Little Grove screamed and fell to the ground. The two people started pushing the corpses out of the morgue one by one and put them into a big bag. The corpses were piled up together. Another person came in from outside the morgue and dragged the bag away. By then, the person who'd spoken to Little Grove had already found the registration form. He flipped through it and said, "The quality this time is not bad. Most of them are only 3 days old. Tell the big idiot to be gentle. Don't damage our goods." "Should we get rid of this person?" "No need. We're not here to kill people." Early in the morning, Chun Zhao was woken up by a phone call. He picked it up and heard Kashili's voice. "Mr. Chin, something happened to your student." "My student?" Chun Zhao was still confused and did not understand. "You mean Little Grove? What happened to him?" "Last night, a group of body thieves came to the hospital and stole 12 corpses from the morgue." What happened to Little Grove?" Chun Zhao sat up abruptly. He was electrocuted and is receiving treatment now, but his mental state is very bad. He was too shocked. "Are you sure he didn't direct it himself?" Chun Zhao asked. "I don't think so. According to the police, it's not a single case. There have already been 3 body thefts in LA. "I'll go to the hospital now," Chun Zhao said. Regardless of Chun Zhao's personal grudge with Little Grove, he couldn't just stand by since something had happened to his student. When Chun Zhao arrived at the hospital, Little Grove was curled up in bed. What happened last night had given him quite a fright. Maggie and Raphael were also in the room, visiting their classmate. "Little Grove, I'm here to see you," Chun Zhao said. "Get out of bed." Maggie and Raphael had already found out from Little Grove that Chun Zhao had done. However, Little Grove clearly hadn't explained things clearly. They didn't understand how Chun Zhao had coerced Little Grove into becoming a security guard in the morgue. Both of them looked at Chun Zhao with a strange expression. They both knew about the conflict between Chun Zhao and Little Grove on the first day of school. However, Chun Zhao's method of revenge was truly new to them. "Get out." Chun Zhao saw that Little Grove was still curled up in bed. Little Grove really didn't want to see Chun Zhao. He poked his head out and looked at Chun Zhao. "Mr. Chin, I'm really uncomfortable right now. I need to rest. I'll give you a few days off. Tell me what happened last night." "Mr. Chen, you really didn't send those people to mess with me." Even if Chun Zhao wanted to mess with Little Grove, he wouldn't make such a joke. Stealing someone else's corpse was too much of a joke. Do you have some misunderstanding about me? Misunderstanding. Little Grove didn't think that there was any misunderstanding between him and Chen Zhao. Mr. Chin, I don't want to be a security guard in the morgue anymore. I know I was wrong. Please let me find another internship. Chen Zhao chuckled. We're all adults. Everyone has to take responsibility for what they've done. I was just impulsive. Chapter 988. My mental state is very bad. I need to rest. This is a reasonable request. Lit Grove was also a medical student. He also knew under what circumstances he could rest. Smiling, Chen Zhao looked at Lit Grove. You won't have a chance. Unless you die here, don't even think about escaping from your post. Lepore and Maggie both looked at Chen Zhao. They didn't expect Chen Zhao to be tougher than they'd imagined. At first, they thought that Chen Zhao would at most teach Lit Grove a lesson and let him know fear. After this incident, Chen Zhao might let Lit Grove go. But Chen Zhao didn't show any mercy. Don't think about getting diagnosed with some mental illness. You can't escape. Lit Grove's face was ashen. He'd indeed thought of that. But Chen Zhao had blocked his last way out. Rest well for 3 days and then return to your post. Lit Grove was in great pain. Chen Zhao was completely torturing and destroying him, but he couldn't do anything about it. Chen Zhao patted Lit Grove and turned to leave. After leaving the ward, Chen Zhao went to the surveillance room. He pulled up the surveillance footage from the morgue last night. Lit Grove had spent most of his time playing with his phone outside the morgue. Then the 3 body thieves arrived and electrocuted Lit Grove. Chen Zhao noticed that one of the 3 was a big guy who didn't look normal. He was very strong and could drag a dozen corpses away. Then they dragged the corpses into the stairs. Next, they appeared at the back door and went around to the parking lot. Chen Zhao looked at the big guy. He might be a spiritualist, or maybe all 3 of them were spiritualists. The big guy's strength clearly wasn't something a normal person should have. Their motive for stealing the corpses was also a mystery. What could the corpses be used for? They were usually used for medical research. If they just died, the organs could be removed and transplanted to someone else. But when the 3 stole the corpses, some of them had already been dead for 2 or 3 days. Obviously, they couldn't be transplanted. Therefore, Chen Zhao naturally thought that it was either a research institute or a place to practice black magic. Apart from these 2 possibilities, Chen Zhao couldn't think of anything else. David, I want information on a case. Can you help me look it up? What case information do you want? Recently, there have been 3 cases of body theft from hospitals in Los Angeles. I want to know the details of these 3 cases. Is this case related to the supernatural? I'm not sure. But one of my students is involved, so I want to confirm the nature of this case. All right, I'll help you look up some information. Maggie, Raphael, do you have internships in the hospital? Chen Zhao asked. Teacher, I need it, but I don't want to go to the morgue, Maggie said. Ever since Lit Grove was tricked, Maggie didn't dare to agree easily. Of course, she hoped to get an internship. In particular, a private hospital like Chantilly had a good environment and high treatment. If she could get an internship here and get an invitation from the hospital after the internship, then her years of studying medicine would not be wasted. Don't think that every doctor is trying to benefit society or humanity. Many students' initial goal is to earn money or stand out. No one is more noble than the other. A profiteer doctor might not be worse than a doctor with lofty ideals. No problem, Chen Zhao said. Which department do you want to intern in? The surgery department, Maggie said. Sure, I'll arrange it for you. Chen Zhao looked at Raphael. Raphael, do you plan on interning here? Teacher, I'm an amateur model right now. I'll probably spend most of my time on fashion shows. I understand, Chen Zhao said. I don't object to you becoming a model, but I won't lower my requirements for the final exam. If you don't get enough points, it'll be hard for you to get my signature. Yes, I understand. It was a student's choice to enter any industry. But as a teacher, Chen Zhao definitely hoped that his students' scores were up to standard or excellent. Without enough points, Chen Zhao wouldn't give Raphael special treatment. This was his responsibility to both parties. Although Chen Zhao had been very reluctant when he accepted the job, he knew that he had to be responsible. Chen Zhao had accepted the job unwillingly, but since he did, he had to be responsible for his own work. Chen Zhao asked for another internship from Kahiri and arranged for Maggie to come in. Raphael didn't ask her. If she wanted to be a model, then so be it. Hey, Raphael, do you have time for the 3 days after tomorrow? Hyson, is there an event? Hyson was Raphael's guide and her manager. Whenever Raphael had a fashion show, Hyson would arrange it for her. Hyson was quite famous in the modeling industry. He managed more than 10 models under him. Of course, most models were like Raphael. They were all 3rd or 4th tier models, but Hyson had a lot of connections. There were benefits to signing with a small model. It was easier to control a small model. At the same time, a small model's commission was higher. The famous model's commission would be 15%, but for a small model like Raphael, it was at least 30%. This is a good opportunity. The Baroness is going to shoot a promotional video. It'll be directed by the famous director, Mr. James. You must be fully prepared in these 3 days. Raphael's eyes brightened. Director James. Of course, she knew who Director James was. He was a new upstart director in Hollywood. The movie Animal Mart had made James famous. The movie hadn't been released yet, but the box office had already reached a high. Every girl wanted to be famous. Raphael was no exception. Any model wanted to enter Hollywood and become a Hollywood star. However, it was harder for a model to become famous than an actor. Because Hollywood had never been fond of models, being able to act as a pretty face and appear in a movie for a few minutes was already very difficult. What do I need to prepare? Diet, exercise, and then change into a pretty outfit. I'll pick you up the day after tomorrow for the interview. Diet and exercise were part of a model's daily routine. Chapter 989. Professor, can you lend me some money? Chen Zhao was very surprised to receive Lepore's call. If some students had financial difficulties, Chen Zhao didn't mind helping them. However, Lepore was definitely not a poor student. In the few times Chen Zhao had interacted with her, all of her clothes were branded. It would cost at least $2,000 or $3,000, not including her makeup. Chen Zhao was rich, but he didn't need to buy luxury goods for his student. How much do you need? $10,000. Give me a reason to lend you money. I can pay you back. I'll pay you back $20,000 in a month. Whoosh! Chen Zhao didn't even dare to borrow such high interest. This was usury. Chen Zhao might even lose his professorship and go to jail because of this, as long as Lepore reported it to the school or the police. Chen Zhao wouldn't be able to explain himself. Even if Chen Zhao didn't care about his professor title, he didn't want to take the risk of being a scapegoat. That's not a good reason. Professor, what do you think I should do? What do you need money for? I have an interview the day after tomorrow. It's very important to me. I need to buy makeup and clothes, Lepore said directly. You've been a model for a long time, right? Don't you have any savings? Models weren't high-income people, but they shouldn't be low. Chen Zhao had learned about the market from chatting with Zola before. Normal models could earn $300 to $500 per show. Although they couldn't walk every day, they could still have a few shows per month. Most shows didn't have any rehearsals. They would only be given a schedule, and the show would be completed in less than an hour. Only high-end shows like Baroness would hire models to rehearse for a few days. Models with slightly better conditions might even have 2 or 3 shows per day. A show wouldn't be held in one venue. Instead, they would walk back and forth on the runway. This was called a show. They might even have to do several shows in the same show. Models' fees were the same. One show would earn them some money. Chen Zhao guessed that Lepore was a senior model. She wasn't famous, but she had been in the industry for a long time. Therefore, there should be quite a number of job opportunities. At the very least, he should have some savings. I don't have any savings. My monthly income is about $20,000, which is just enough for my expenses. Unfortunately, my credit card maxed out this month, so I need some money for emergencies, Raphael said. Do you need to spend $10,000 for an interview? Of course it's worth it. Send me a letter of guarantee. I'll lend you the money without any interest. As long as you can get at least AB+ on the monthly test, I'll lend you the money. If you can't get AB+ or above on the monthly test, you'll have to give up your modeling work for a while and attend tutoring classes. Sure. Laper's academic performance was quite good, so she felt that it wouldn't be difficult to get AB+ as long as she worked a little harder. Then he received an electronic guarantee. Qin Zhao transferred the money over without hesitation. Raphael got the money, and his face was full of joy. After all, in this day and age, it was easy to borrow money, but it was extremely difficult to borrow money without paying a price. For example, her agent, Hyson. Although Hyson was very capable and well-connected, he wasn't a kind person. Borrowing money from him was like sending a sheep into a tiger's mouth. Just then, Hyson's call came. Raphael, do you need money? If you need it, I can lend it to you. No need, Hyson, Raphael said. I have money. Fine. If you need it, I can lend it to you any time. After all, you're my general. Thank you, but I really don't need it. Hyson really felt that it was a pity. Recently, he had been looking for a chance to control Raphael. Unfortunately, Raphael was very smart. Normal moves were almost useless against her. As a model agent, his income was actually quite high. However, he also had another identity, a pimp. Many models had already been dragged down by him, forever under his control. He introduced his models to rich people and earned commissions from them. This was far more than a model agent could compare to. Each time, he could earn at least $10,000 or $20,000. It was much higher than a show's commission of a few hundred or even $1,000. Raphael's conditions were very good. If he could drag her down, she would definitely become his money-making tool. President Norma is here. Mr. Lewis is here too. Oh, they're here? I'll go over. When Chen Zhao arrived at the headquarters, Lewis and Norma had already been there for quite a while. Accompanied by West, the two of them were touring the facilities of the headquarters. Because the association had helped Lewis and Norma through difficult times before, they were familiar with each other. Other than a few newcomers, Chen Zhao was familiar with most of them. Hi, Lewis, Norma, Chen Zhao greeted them. Chen. Lewis walked over and hugged Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao looked at Norma's eyes. She was like a female pirate. One eye was covered with an eye patch, while the other glowed with a dark green light. The eye of nightmare. Chen, I'll leave Norma to you. Wait, I have to tell you too, in person first. Chen Zhao waved his hand. First, the supernatural organization often encounters dangerous missions and operations. It's dangerous, so I can't guarantee Norma's safety. Norma. Lewis also looked at Norma worriedly. Of course. He hoped that Norma could be safe. Even if she didn't touch magic, she could just stay at home obediently and take over the family's management one day. According to Chen Zhao, Norma might come into contact with dangerous things. If Norma had to face the kind of danger she'd faced on the third night every day, Lewis felt chills down his spine. Uncle, I like it here. I want to stay here. Chen, can you give Norma special care? Lewis asked. Chen Zhao shook his head. No. Rules are rules. If Chen Zhao gave Norma special care, it would be unfair to the others. There were few younger ones in the association who also needed special care. For example, Moe, Giselle, and Alice. They were all very young, but they received the same treatment as the others. They had to face the same danger during missions. Mr. Chen, I can be like the others, Norma said. Chapter 990. Go and evaluate your magic level and power, Chen Zhao said. Go and evaluate your strength. President, Norma's already done a magic power evaluation. Norma raised the red ring on her hand. Chen Zhao was surprised. Be not bad. How much magic power? 380, Norma answered. Wear this ring. Chen Zhao gave Norma another ring. This ring is? Norma was confused. Was it the rule of the supernatural organization that one had to keep receiving rings after joining? But Norma still wore the ring. Follow me. Chen Zhao brought them to the Tower of Trials. He realized that there were people on the second floor. Before Chen Zhao could ask, a beam of light shot out from the door. Then Gaia fell to the ground. Phew! Chin, you're here. You've passed the first floor. Yes, I got an E+ rating, Gaia said. But the second floor was too stressful. I only killed a dozen monsters and came out. Chen Zhao easily passed the second floor. He didn't feel any pressure. Hi, Ms. Gaia. Norma, you're here. The two greeted her. Do you need the Tower of Trials? Norma didn't know what the Tower of Trials was for. She turned to Qin Zhao. Monsters will attack you later. Lots of them. Of course, they'll kill you, just like in games. If you're killed inside, you'll come out like Gaia. Your life won't be in danger, Chen Zhao explained. You only need to kill 100 monsters on each floor to pass. There's also a score. Okay, how do I go in? Norma asked. Put your palm on the stone door, Qin Zhao said. Norma walked forward and pressed her hand on the door. She instantly entered the first floor of the Tower of Trials. How long do you think Norma can last? Gaia asked. Norma shouldn't be very strong, Qin Zhao said, although her magic power is only second to Gaia's. 30 seconds at most, was said. Qin, what is this Tower of Trials? Louis asked, confused. Norma found herself on a grassland. Her heart was filled with shock. This was too magical. Where was this? Was it really Dale? Just as Norma was pondering, a large number of giant locusts appeared in the distance. The locusts charged towards Norma. The green light in Norma's eyes intensified. In an instant, swarms of giant locusts fell from the sky. The giant locusts were not very resilient, and falling from a height of more than 10 meters would basically cripple them. Some fell to their deaths, while others lost their arms or legs. Just then, the giant locust escaped, and a giant, twisted monster appeared. The twisted monster charged towards Norma. Norma used the same trick again. When the twisting monster came into contact with Norma's green eyes, it stopped moving. Norma pointed at her forehead and muttered, I can. The next moment, Norma felt her body filled with power. Norma's Eye of Incubus could not only hypnotize her enemies, but she could also hypnotize herself. This was an ability that Norma had developed over the past few days. Of course, this kind of hypnosis could greatly increase Norma's physical strength, but it could only reach human limits. If Norma forcefully hypnotized herself beyond human limits, the damage to her body would be too great. Norma dashed towards the twisting troll, then used the twisting troll's need to jump up and land behind it. At the same time, she took out a dagger and stabbed it into the back of the twisting troll's neck. The twisted monster instantly woke up, but it could not catch Norma on its back. Norma held on tightly to Invictus and pulled it down. The twisted monster's neck was completely cut open, and it fell to the ground, motionless. Just then, a voice rang out in Norma's mind. Level 1 passed. SSS plus rating. She chose to save and leave, or enter the second level. Norma chose to enter the second level. Soon, Norma appeared in a swamp. A large number of twisted monsters appeared in the darkness ahead. Norma wanted to use the same trick, but this time, she was not facing one twisted monster, but a large group. Norma could only hypnotize 10 twisted monsters at most at once. Moreover, she could not hypnotize the giant locusts and make them fall to their deaths. The other twisted monsters charged at Norma immediately. A punch landed on Norma. The moment Norma flew into the air, another combo followed. Ah! Norma realized that she was back outside the Tower of Trials. You just entered the second level? Chen Zhao looked at Norma in shock. What? You entered the second level? West was also shocked. What's your rating? 3S+. Everyone's jaws dropped. In the end, they all looked at Chen Zhao. Even Chen Zhao had entered the second level with an F+, but Norma had passed the first level with such a high score. Was Norma stronger than Chen Zhao? What about the second level? Chen Zhao asked. I didn't kill a single monster on the second level, Norma said. The monsters on the second level are too strong. I couldn't hypnotize too many of them, so I failed almost instantly. F-. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that she had only passed the first level because of her magic. Does your Eye of Nightmare have any restrictions on enemies? Chen Zhao asked. I can only hypnotize enemies who are weaker or close to me. If they're stronger than me, the effect will plummet. Try it on me. Norma sent a hypnosis spell at Chen Zhao, but it had no effect at all. President, you have no effect at all, Norma said. Yeah, I'll try it too, Gaia said. Norma also used hypnosis and then shook her head. Gaia, my magic is useless on you too, but my suggestion enhancement might be useful. What's that? It's also a type of hypnosis. It can greatly enhance a person's physical strength, and it's close to the limit. However, your magic is very strong, so I'm not sure how effective it will be on you, Norma said. I also want to go in and give it a try, Louis said eagerly. Sure, go in. Chen Zhao wasn't stingy at all. He casually tossed a ring to Louis. After you go in, you can release Blackie. Louis listened to Chen Zhao's suggestion and released Blackie after entering. But in less than a minute, Louis came out. How was it? Did you pass the first level? Chapter 991. What's with those people? Louis pointed at a few people wearing collars in the distance. Are they some kind of special talent? The collars on their necks look very high-tech. Do you want one? I can give you one. Can I? That's too much, Louis said, embarrassed. How much does the collar cost? I'll pay. No need, it's free, Chen Zhao said with a smile. What's the collar for? West and Gaia both turned their heads, stifling their laughter. Just press a button and you can send your head to the sky. What do you mean? It's used to kill. Louis opened his mouth and looked at Chen Zhao in shock. Why? What did they do wrong? Nothing big. They were hired to beat me up. They beat you up? Do they want to die? Maybe. Just then, Chen Zhao's phone rang. Chen Zhao looked at the caller ID. It was Lit Grove. Mr. Chen, I want to take a few more days off. I don't approve. Mr. Chen, I signed up for the school's spring outing. I want to relax. Chen Zhao thought about it and said, Fine, I'll give you 3 more days. If you don't, I won't let you guard the morgue. I'll let you lie in the morgue. Who's this? My student. He also found 2 gangsters to beat me up. He's still alive. Nothing. I just want him to watch the morgue. Chen Zhao said nonchalantly. Oh, when are you going back to New York? I've only been in New York for less than a day and you're already chasing me away. I'm just asking. You're thinking too much. I don't have the right to chase you away, but I won't accompany you anymore. With that, Chen Zhao entered the Tower of Trials. Chen Zhao wanted to see how many levels he could pass with his power. He went straight to the 3rd level. Groups of winged demons guarded the 3rd level. These winged demons had black bodies and were around 3 meters tall. They held steel tridents in their hands and were extremely fast. Their strength was not weak either. Like a cannonball, the winged demons charged at Chen Zhao with a fork. Chen Zhao held the bronze sword in his hand and swung it. However, Chen Zhao's bronze sword couldn't break the winged demon's steel fork. It only sent the demon flying. Just then, a winged demon behind him stabbed his back with a steel fork. The first and second levels posed no pressure to him at all. However, the pressure on the third floor suddenly increased. The difficulty was different from what Chen Zhao had imagined. Chen Zhao thought that the monster's strength would only increase a little, but the sudden increase in difficulty forced Chen Zhao to fully focus on the battle. Of course, this could also be due to Chen Zhao's personal battle style and magic characteristics. For example, Norma wasn't as powerful as Chen Zhao and Gaia, but she could get an SSS plus on the first level. Even Chen Zhao and Gaia couldn't do this. It was possible that her strength just happened to restrain the monsters of a certain floor, which was why she received a particularly high score. However, with Chen Zhao's physical strength, the winged demon's damage to him was very limited. Chen Zhao used the dark serum to defend against attacks from the back. In 2 hours, Chen Zhao finally killed all 100 winged demons. Chen Zhao thought that there would be a monster from the 4th floor, but it didn't appear. There was only AB on the 3rd floor and a prompt to save and leave or continue to the 4th floor. Chen Zhao entered the 4th floor. It was a withered forest. Withered trees surrounded him. The air was filled with fog, making visibility very low. Just then, more and more skeleton soldiers appeared around him. Chen Zhao reached out and crushed the skull of a skeleton soldier. A trace of surprise appeared on his face. Wait, the monsters on the 4th floor couldn't be so weak, right? Even the monsters on the 1st floor were much stronger than these skeleton soldiers, let alone the ones on the 4th floor. Chen Zhao easily charged and killed a dozen skeleton soldiers. They posed no threat to Chen Zhao at all. Chen Zhao killed 100 skeleton soldiers, but he didn't get a clear or a score. Weird. Do I have to kill more than 100? Chen Zhao killed another 100 or so, but there was still no clear notification. Suddenly, a chill came from Chen Zhao's back. Chen Zhao reached out and grabbed a chilling ice arrow. Chen Zhao looked behind the skeleton soldiers and saw a skeleton mage in a black robe standing not far away. The skeleton mage held a magic staff in his hand, and the skeleton soldiers were constantly reviving around him. Moreover, they were reviving endlessly. In other words, this guy was the real monster on the 4th floor. The skeleton soldiers were his summoned creatures, not the real monster. The skeleton mage waved his wand and shot a green flame at Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao immediately felt the threat of the green flame. He flipped over and dodged. At the same time, Chen Zhao's dark serum swept across the ground and wrapped around the skeleton mage's feet. Then he was pulled into the dark serum. But at this moment, there were even more skeleton soldiers in the surroundings. This reminded Chen Zhao of the feeling when he was squeezed into the subway. Chen Zhao saw a few skeleton mages standing at the back of the skeleton army. To break through these densely packed skeleton soldiers, the difficulty was simply too great. Chen Zhao had to use the clone spell. The doppelganger spell helped Chen Zhao clear the way while he charged at the skeleton mage. After killing his way through, Chen Zhao finally reached the skeleton mage. The skeleton mages cast spells at the same time. A bone prison appeared around Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao shattered the prison with one punch. Then, he smashed the skull of a skeleton mage. The other skeleton mages immediately cast curses at Chen Zhao. Weakness, aging, fear, blindness, and a series of other curses landed on Chen Zhao. Curses were the last thing Chen Zhao was afraid of. The Eye of Curse opened and devoured the curses. Blackie was also good at necromancy, so Chen Zhao had a good understanding of it. Chen Zhao used a full 3 hours to kill 100 skeleton mages. He finally passed the 4th floor. Chen Zhao's rating was C-. It was clearly 1 level lower than the B+ on the 4th floor. Chen Zhao thought for a moment and decided to continue to the 5th floor. The 5th floor was a vast land of broken rocks. Wind was already blowing in the distance. Chen Zhao could feel the ground rumbling. Chapter 992. Just then, there was a cloud of dust in the distance. Chen Zhao saw many things tangled together. It was like a bunch of eels tangled together. But when he got closer, Chen Zhao could see clearly that it wasn't a bunch of eels. It was a bunch of three-headed dragons. The gyre that Chen Zhao had encountered in the past was like this. It wasn't one, but hundreds of them. Without thinking, Chen Zhao took out his zither and 12 stone swords. The 12 clones went up to stop the dragons from approaching Chen Zhao at the same time. Chen Zhao sat down cross-legged and placed his zither on his legs. Zung, 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 the sound of the zither started. The murderous intent had arrived. The 12 stone swords spun out like a meat grinder. A dragon head fell before Chen Zhao. This was Chen Zhao's ultimate move, his trump card. These three-headed dragons were about as strong as the three-headed dragon gyre from back then. Chen Zhao could beat gyre in the past, but there weren't just one or two of them now. There were dozens and hundreds of them. Of course, Chen Zhao was much more powerful now than before. Chen Zhao felt the mana in his body flow out like a spring. Using the zither to control the swords sounded pretty cool. However, it used up too much mana. All the battles on the first 4 levels combined couldn't compare to what Chen Zhao used now. The zither sounded like a storm, the swords were like rainbows, and the murderous intent was sharp. Suddenly, the zither stopped. The battle was over. Chen Zhao's forehead was covered in sweat. His mana had been used up too. Thankfully, there were settings in the Tower of Trials. Although there were more than 100 monsters attacking, the rest would retreat automatically. However, as long as 100 monsters were killed, the rest would automatically retreat. 5th level, SSS+. He could choose to save and leave, or enter the 6th level. Of course, he chose to leave. Right now, Chen Zhao had no more energy to fight. After recovering, he would try to get to the 6th level. After these days of research and the members of the association coming in and out, Chen Zhao had a general understanding of this rating. The speed, efficiency, number of attacks from monsters, and damage all affected the rating. The speed and efficiency of clearing the stage, the number of times monsters attacked, and the damage dealt would all affect the score. Because of her speed and the fact that she wasn't attacked, she got an SSS+. Because of her speed and the fact that she wasn't attacked, she got an SSS+. It was the same for Chen Zhao on the 5th level. After leaving the Tower of Trials, Chen Zhao realized that the people of the Union were all outside. Why are you all here? President, which floor are you at? Everyone looked at him curiously. I cleared the 5th floor. Everyone gasped. After all, only Gaia and Norma had cleared the 1st level. Moreover, of the 2 of them, one was able to clear the stage due to the magic element's restraint, while the other barely passed. After hearing Gaia and Norma talk about the strength of the monsters on the 2nd level, they all felt that it would be good if Chen Zhao could pass the 3rd level. They didn't expect Chen Zhao to pass the 5th level. Chen, what are the single monsters on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th floors? The monsters on the 3rd floor are called winged demons. They are very fast and can fly. In terms of individual strength, they should be about 5 times stronger than the twisted monsters on the 2nd floor. Chen Zhao estimated and said the 4th level is skeleton mages. They can summon skeleton soldiers limitlessly. At the same time, they can cast black magic, necromancy, and curses. Helis was also a necromancy expert. Hearing this, her eyes shone brightly. She wanted to see the skeleton mage on the 4th floor, but with her current strength, it was impossible for her to reach the 4th floor. The difference was too great. She couldn't even pass the 1st floor. The 5th floor is the 3-headed dragon demon we met last time at sea. It's a monster like Gyre. 100. Gaia gasped. Chen Zhao nodded. But the 5th floor is my limit. I used my trump card to pass it. Although that was what Chen Zhao had said, it was still very shocking to everyone. I can't even beat one opponent like Gyre, let alone 100. Gaia shook her head. She had been guessing how strong Qin Zhao was, but now it seemed that the gap between them wasn't just a little big. Of course, the difference in strength didn't mean that Qin Zhao could kill 100 three-headed dragons and Gaia couldn't. The difference was 100 times. It was like an adult could beat 100 children. But it didn't mean that the adult was 100 times stronger than the children. Nevertheless, it still meant that the difference in strength was huge. The others also knew that Qin Zhao was a monster. However, they didn't expect the difference to be so huge. Okay, I should go back. On a bus heading to the suburbs. Little Grove was on the bus at the moment. The bus was filled with UCLA students. UCLA had more than 10,000 teachers and students, but only a few were willing to participate in the spring outing. After all, with the convenience of transportation in the United States, regardless of whether it was students or teachers, they were more willing to go somewhere with their friends or lovers instead of going out with their classmates or teachers. The people who signed up for the spring outing were all freshmen, except for Lit Grove, who sat beside a girl. "Hi, hello, I'm Lit Grove." "Hi." The girl lifted her eyelids to look at Lit Grove, but then she focused on the textbook in her hands. "Can I know your name?" Little Grove asked. "Are you Bona-kun?" The girl, called Bona-kun, raised her head and looked at Ritter Grove. "How did you know? Do you know me? Your name is written on the cover of your book." "Oh." Bona-kun retracted her attention. Just then, another person boarded the bus. Little Grove knew this person. It seemed to be Professor First Cell, from the biology department. However, Lit Grove noticed a drop of blood on Professor Foswell's trousers. His gaze then shifted to Professor Foswell's cuff. There seemed to be a tear there. His gaze then shifted to Professor Foswell's neck under his collar. There seemed to be a red claw mark. Some strange images suddenly flashed through Little Grove's mind. They were intermittent and blurry. A woman fought with Professor Fowles and was beaten to death by Professor Fowles. Little Grove shuddered. Cold sweat appeared on his forehead. Strange. Why would he think of such a strange image? At this moment, Bona-kun turned to look at Ritter Grove. Insight spell? Chapter 993. Did anything happen to you recently? Bona-kun's eyes flashed as she looked at Lit Grove. What? Did you get attacked, injured, or sick recently? Bona-kun asked. Ritter Grove, on the other hand, was confused. Did this girl know about him? It wasn't something to be proud of to be sent to the morgue by one's teacher. Lit Grove's expression darkened immediately. Just then, the bus stopped again and a girl boarded. Bona-kun pointed at the girl. Look at that girl. Lit Grove looked at the girl. His eyes immediately scanned some of her features. At the same time, inappropriate images of the girl flashed through his mind. Lit Grove's body shook slightly. He turned to look at Bona-kun. What's wrong with me? Why are those images appearing in my mind? Bona-kun turned to look at Lit Grove. Tell me first, did something happen to you recently? I was electrocuted by a stun gun the day before yesterday, Lit Grove said. But what does that have to do with what I'm asking? That's right, Bona-kun said. In many cases, male spiritualists have a simpler awakening process. What? To put it simply, you've awakened. You're a spiritualist now. You can also call yourself a wizard or a wizard. Wizard? You're saying I'm a wizard? Lit Grove looked at Bona-kun with a strange expression. He felt that Bona-kun was definitely not normal. Or maybe she was a severe Chinibu. Looks like you don't believe me. Bona-kun's lips curled up. She pointed at Lit Grove's forehead. Suddenly, Little Grove saw a figure. Qin Zhao? Then Qin Zhao slapped him in the face. Ah! Lit Grove covered his face, but Qin Zhao was nowhere to be seen. What just happened? I can create the illusion of the person you're most afraid of, Bona-kun said. But you seem to be very afraid of this person. In order to create his illusion, I actually used up so much magic power. Lick Grove was confused. His mind was a mess. But when he noticed some details on Bonakun, some strange images flashed in his mind. Seems like you've discovered a lot of things. Your natural insight is very rare, Bonakun said. Are you really a witch? Little Grove asked in a low voice. Do you still have any questions? I want to know more information about me and about you. Which aspect do you want to start with? Let's talk about my awakening first and the insight magic you mentioned. Awakening is a process that every spiritualist has to go through. Bonakun said, but the awakening process for witches and wizards is different. Witches have 3 nights. Wizards are much simpler. Although they also have 3 nights, the awakening process for wizards is equivalent to the simplified version for witches. Since you woke up on the first night, it can only mean that your ability is relatively weak. But didn't you say that my ability is rare? There's no conflict between being rare and being weak. Take protected animals, for example. They're rare, but that doesn't mean they're powerful. Then can I beat ordinary people? If it was an ordinary person, you would definitely be able to defeat them. Even some experts in combat might not necessarily be your match, because you have insight that ordinary people do not have, and you even have the ability to see through the enemy's weaknesses. Little Grove's first thought was to take revenge on Qin Zhao, although that guy had something on him. However, he could legitimately invite him to the boxing ring and then defeat him in front of everyone. By then, his reputation in UCLA would definitely be greatly reduced. Also, you already have magic. It's very weak, but it also has some defensive power. When you're attacked, it will help you reduce some damage. Does that mean I can block bullets? Little Grove was already imagining himself as a superhero. Bonakun rolled her eyes. The defensive power I'm talking about only reduces the damage by 10 or 20%. It's not complete immunity. Also, if someone points a gun at your vitals, there's no real difference whether you have magic or not. You belong to the support type spiritualist category. You don't have much of a bonus in terms of individual combat power, especially if you want to deal with the same kind of spiritualist. Support type spiritualists are rare, and you are a rare animal among the rare. Is there any way to increase my power? Little Grove asked. Yes. For example, you can find a magic teacher to teach you spells of the same system. You can learn offensive spells of the same system based on your own magic foundation. Can you teach me? If you're willing to be my student, I can teach you, Bonakun said. I have an enemy. If you're willing to help me take revenge, I'm willing to be your student, Little Grove said. What enemy? He's a teacher in school. He's also a scoundrel, *shoal. Little Grove told her about Qin Zhao's evil deeds. Of course, he also left out his own actions and emphasized Qin Zhao's violence. No problem, Bonakun said. I can help you teach him a lesson. Your magic can defeat him, right? Little Grove asked worriedly. I heard he's very powerful. My magic isn't invincible, but no one is. As long as he has someone he fears, I can defeat him. That's good. Little Grove heaved a sigh of relief. But he has something on me now. I can't let him know that I ordered you to do this. It's okay. I have a way to force him to tell me, Bonakun said. Where is he now? I don't know. Try to recall, Bonakun said. You might be able to find information about his current location.